Hey everybody, welcome to Todd's Corner. Got a pretty good group of guys here today. A very special guest, David Hirsch, and here's my buddy Gordon.
How's it going, folks?
Wabam! We have a David Hirsch.
Hi guys. Good to be with you.
Hey, Dave.
So yeah, looks like we already got 12 viewers. Man, this is rocking already.
We woke somebody up early.
Yeah, we did. So, if you guys haven't paid attention, we have Mr. David Hirsch with us today. He has been in 1999 fandom for quite a while. Starlog, you did the technical notebook, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
We're bringing you on to tell us all about your history with Space 1999.
Yeah, well, I really goes right back to when the show was first broadcast. I was in my first year of college, and I was taking a film class, and we had to write papers at the end of the year on certain subjects. So I wanted to do Jerry and Sylvia Anderson. And, back in the pre-internet days, you couldn't go to the library and go online or anything. So I had to literally get myself down to ITC in New York and hope that they would help me out. And I got lucky, and I met up with Bob Mandel, who was the son of Abe Mandel, and he was doing publicity at the time. And Bob just loaded me up with all kinds of documentation. And I was able to write the paper. I did well on it. He was impressed by it. And through my friendship with Bob, when Starlog was doing the Eagle blueprints in episode 7, he recommended them to me, that I was able to help Jeff Mandel out with the blueprint, because Jeff was not as familiar with the ship as he would have liked, and he needed help. He was at that time famous for doing a lot of Star Trek blueprints.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, that got the ball rolling. I ended up getting a summer intern job at Starlog, and Jeff and I did the Alpha Tech notebook during that summer. And by the fall, I was basically asked to stay on, and I left school and went to work for them for 5.5 years.
Really?
Well, as a fan, I sure do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Notebook,
Yeah.
all of the space reports, all of the SST. Very, very, very appreciated. Huge fan.
Well, I did what I could to try and keep the show and Jerry's other shows in the magazine. I used the money I initially made from the Tech Notebook to actually fly to England, where I was able to meet up with him. And we hit it off. And eventually I was able to convince Jerry and Starlog's publishers, Kerry O'Quinn and Norman Jacobs, to bring Jerry on as a columnist. So all that kept Jerry in the public eye while he was trying to develop other projects, other post-Space 99 projects. Unfortunately,
565.
Yeah. A lot of other non-science fiction stuff at the time, too.
And then Terrahawks was kind of big for you guys too.
Well, that was the end result of the period. But I had been promised work on any productions that came along. In fact, I worked 2 weeks at Pinewood on a lot of pre-production on 5 Star 5 before it collapsed. And then when Terrahawks came along, he unfortunately couldn't bring me on because the production budget was so low that he couldn't justify bringing an American into the production. A lot of his staff were people just out of art school. So it was their first assignments. I mean, Steve Begg essentially came on as a special effects assistant and got promoted to director very quickly. So it was a big deal for a lot of people. But unfortunately, I got to visit the studio during pre-production, but Jerry just couldn't justify a way to bring me on, which was unfortunate. And it took several years later. His son Jamie brought me into the audiobook series for Big Finish, and I got to write 3 episodes for them.
Very cool. Well,
so
I'll tell
it
you
all
what,
came around. Yeah.
Yep, they're selling like hotcakes. So I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your first convention.
Well, the convention, the folks who were running the Save 1999 Alliance at the time contacted me at Starlog for help getting ITC to sanction the convention. And I eventually offered to do the program book at Starlog for them and help out. ITC let me, ITC let me raid their storeroom for scripts and costumes that they had for promotional purposes for a charity auction for the Columbus Children's Hospital, and we raised quite a lot of money for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, in fact, the painting that we've seen at Alpha 2017 and Breakaway 2019 that I brought was one of the items that they gave me, but it was so big and fragile I couldn't ship it, so I ended up buying it out of my own pocket and keeping it for myself.
So you had to travel.
Oh, go ahead, Todd. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You had to do traveling to do stuff for Starlog?
Sometimes. I mean, most of the conventions were in New York, so I did a lot of the creation conventions, either selling Starlog products at their dealer's table, or for creation, ITC would loan me 16 mil prints, and I'd go and do film festivals of different episodes of shows for people to see, because at the time most of them were not available on air, so it was all keeping things going. The space conventions were really the only ones that I went to out of state. The first one being Columbus, Ohio, and the second one was Pittsburgh.
Gotcha.
I wasn't too far from you.
No, they were short hops and everything. I know I missed one of them. We did, I think Atlanta was the third
81.
one.
81.
Yeah, was it 81? So it was 78, 79. So I missed 80. That, which I think was back in either Columbus or Pittsburgh, wasn't it? Gordon, you would know.
I believe I have the thing right here.
Yeah.
Gosh, where I'm looking. I don't.
It doesn't. They couldn't decide what they were having it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have it, but let's see.
Yeah, I know I missed that for a reason. Yeah.
I think it was somewhere in, Nantucket or something. I'm just kidding.
No, it was somewhere either Pennsylvania or Ohio. But the third one was Atlanta, which was just after the air traffic controller strike. So it was all touch and go right to the last moment. Huh. And besides me, the only other guests there were Barry Gray and Suzanne Roquet, which was great because he's a terrific guest and she was a sweetheart. And then we did the Columbus convention.
By far, my favorite program booklet that has been produced. My favorite. That was an awesome program booklet.
Yeah, well, because we were in more control of the convention. Chris Landry, who was basically in charge of everything, he got a professional printer shop to do and I got Steve Kite to do the cover, which was very nice of Steve.
Yes.
And we got Phil Ray to bring over a lot of original miniatures, which actually came from the fact that about 6 or 8 months before the convention, I had dinner at Jerry Anderson's house. We were discussing his Terrahawks proposal. And Jerry had the 3 Eagle models at his house. And I said, would you please consider allowing me to borrow one of them to display at the convention? Kind of hoping that he would say, you don't have to send it back. I have too many. But then I found out later on he had actually passed them on to Phil Ray. Right. So when I found that out, and since I knew Phil, we made the decision to actually pay to have Phil fly over. Phil loaded up his luggage with the original 44-inch Eagle, the original 22-inch Eagle. I think I had the 11 at that time because I know we had it at the display. I got the 11 from Martin Bauer. He brought over the small ultra probe. He brought over a small Hawk, a small UFO interceptor from that series. No, Gwent I had from. I think I got Gwent from him before that. Yeah.
Is this that?
Yeah, that's it. You can see the large ultra probe. That's the 22 with the freighter module, and the 11's right behind it. The 44 had the
stripes.
Yeah, the rescue pod.
Yep.
So those were painted on the 44 at one point.
Oh, they were always painted on, then repainted over. That's why you see the stripe shadow in Alpha Child when the eagle comes down after it's sort of been shot down, and it's got that these bright white stripes with the dark. Yeah, see.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's the legendary photo right there.
Yeah. Where I'm thinking to myself, take the picture. I'm going to drop this. It's heavy because they were really heavy.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Were and are, yes.
Yeah, and you could see it's got the remote arm on that one, and the Exile's coffin, which is here we go. Pull these over. Take this off because I don't want to pull the computer down. Sorry. You could here are.
Here, let me put you up front.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
That's the 44 scale one, and that's the 22 scale one.
Aha!
So
cool.
These were the two different scales that Martin Bauer built for the show. He built quite a lot of them. They're all, I think, machined. The small one's smooth, where the large one has the ribbing on it.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. This is actually pretty smooth compared to the one that you get with the 1612 one. But you could see in the back, you got the little mounting ports right in the center there. There's one in the front for that shot. And then there's also ones on the bottom.
Right.
Very cool.
So they all drilled holes for different, whichever way they're going to line them up.
So there are ones on the front I didn't see.
Oh, yeah. Right in the dead center.
Okay, yeah.
Say?
It's easy to see on the small one, but yeah.
Well, because the holes are virtually the same size.
Right.
So the small one, the holes are a lot bigger than they are on this one. You can. I don't think this one has a hole. No, this big one actually doesn't have a hole, but I've seen ones with a hole on the front, depending on how they're going to mount.
Now you have good reference to get yours Canon.
Oh yeah.
I got to get mine Canon.
Oh, if you want to really do Canon, you got to break the fins off too.
Yeah,
I've barely
met one of those.
I have barely seen any of them without the fins damaged.
Yeah,
only the small ones, the ones that actually have the fins good. Because everything always was built in multiple scales, usually 44 and 22, because you needed the 22s for either longer shots or depending on what was in the background. That's why the 11 is mostly shot as something flying small on screen, but then to give you the scope of the Daria landing bay, they had to use the 11, and they used it in close-up, which was unusual.
Yeah.
And the 11 gets used quite a lot in Dragon's Domain, too.
Yep.
Where they had to build a second 11-inch. They cobbled it together using the Ultra Probe, the Metaprobe nose cone.
Gotcha.
Well, looks like we have a number of people here saying hello. We got Matthew Bodary. I hope I'm not doing your names. I kill names all the time. He goes, hello, Todd and Gordon. BP Taylor's with us. He says, hi, guys. Jordan Smithy says, greetings all. Hi, David and Todd. Matthew says, I still have my copy of Starlog Spaceship magazine, which is another interesting item of the topic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the shot that I did for Sean McClure for the Martin Bauer book.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Which I have that book. That's a really good book. If anybody needs to get on out there at Amazon and get you a copy.
Me too. I got it somewhere around here.
Yeah, I gotta get the new cover version. Sean basically had to pay to get me my copy. It's a weird deal that when you self-publish through Amazon, that if he wants to send anybody a complimentary copy, he's got to pay for it out of his own pocket.
What?
So much for complimentary.
Yeah, they really don't give you because it's just the way the publishing thing is set up. That's another one.
Yeah, there's a nice close up. You can see the grooves.
Yeah, I don't know if the grooves were part of the mold or added on separately.
I don't know.
But for the number, it's hard to tell because Martin was a very hard worker when it came to details. But,
I'm telling you, that guy used everything under the sun that I can find.
Yeah, and it's just amazing that he was able to turn these things around so fast. Mostly by himself. I don't think he farmed out too much work.
Right.
So
I'm sure he has had some help in there.
It looks like Roy's with us. Hey, Roy.
Hey, Roy.
Sorry.
Roy.
So we do have a question for you from the chat. Jordan Smithy says, here did Jeffrey Mandel and David McConnell get their references for the technical drawings before its release 77? Was any consultation with Brian Johnson or Martin Bower involved?
Sadly, no, at the time, because I didn't know Martin. I met Martin quite by accident, courtesy of Jerry Anderson, when I was out at Pinewood, and Jerry introduced me to Keith Shackleton, his merchandising guy. And I was in Keith's office salivating over the fact that he had the big Gwent model and the big Cetasius and Caldorian ship sitting on the floor there. And I was wondering what they were there because they were setting up the Blackpool exhibition, the first one.
Gotcha.
And Martin walked in. They introduced me to him. We were good friends from there on in because I used to, on all my subsequent trips to England, he let me stay at his place. So I thank Jerry for that introduction. But Brian, I didn't get to meet until we did Alpha 2017, and we did the chat with him. That was my first interaction.
Wow.
The only thing that we got from Brian, let me see if I can reach it, which was, whoops, paper flying everywhere. I think I put it in here. And this I actually only rediscovered this recently. This is
make it screen big.
Yeah, if I can. Got to be it's very delicate now, all this vellum. That is Brian's diagram of Moonbase Alpha.
Wow.
Which bizarrely is backwards. We have no idea why it's backwards because his signature is on it. When we reprinted in the tech manual, we flipped it and then flipped his signature. So it'd be correct. I don't know if it was simply because they copied it. But what's interesting about this was it has all the names of the buildings. So the buildings that we point out in the tech manual are Brian Johnson's designation.
Right.
And how about that?
Then that's supposed to be all the travel tube lines.
Wow.
Right.
Which
nice.
I can't quite figure out. Some of them actually apparently do go vertical. So.
Right. Technology, if they got gravity towers, they can do stuff with travel tubes too, right?
Yeah. So I keep it in my copy of the tech manual with the autographs and everything.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I only just found that in a box. I was looking for a brochure that I did for ITC on Supermarionation, a photo album that they were going to use to sell the SST movies. And I had scanned it in years ago, and one of the photos, Mike Clark pointed out to me from Supercar, had the original puppet designs on this backdrop, which were done by a former Disney designer. And I didn't know this. So I was trying for years to find that box. It's like my missing record singles that I've been still looking for it. I have no idea what happened to that box. I know it's here somewhere, where I've got the Japanese 1999 single and everything.
I have the same problem.
Yeah. I just have such finite storage space here without the wife getting really angry, and so we're very good at hiding stuff away that I can't find it.
Yeah, yeah. Looks like we have some other folks here saying hello. Chris Lancet. Hi, guys. Todd, Gordon, and David. Todd Corner is the best Sunday afternoon show. Thank you.
Woo! Hey!
Looks like
renewed for a second season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Bigger, better, or whatever. Future's fantastic, right?
Yeah. Now we got to put on the bell bottoms.
There you go. So you were at Blackpool?
I was at the second Blackpool exhibition after they had taken it apart, put stuff into storage, and one of the problems was the workers that took the exhibition down obviously couldn't read because there were specially designed crates to put all the models in. Everything had, cradles that would fit the model, just like you're putting your 1612 models in the boxes, and they put them in the wrong ones, so everything would get broken up. You guys have seen the photos that I took at Martin Bauer's workshop, where you have the Super Swift, the legs broken off and stuff. And that's why all the stuff was at his workshop being repaired. Some people have commented, "Oh, he didn't use the right parts." Well, he used what he could use in the time frame he was given to get this stuff back up to Blackpool.
So which one was it when things started become missing?
I think it was the first one actually that I heard. I know the second one. There were certain items that were not in the second one. The Cetasius was gone. I never saw the large Gwent after Keith Shackleton's. The only one that I saw after that was the large Captain Zandor ship, which Phil had both of them. He had traded me the small one, which a guy named Steve Schmidt in New Jersey has with Dione's ship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he has those too.
So Larry Dong was asking about what is your position on fan-made additions to the Moonbase technical manual?
Oh, I like a lot of them. Keith Young has done a superb job. But this is all the fact that people now have time. They can watch the show, especially with the Blu-rays, and study things. We had virtually 3 months, I think, from start to finish. It was done over a summer. And one of the reasons Dave McConnell came on board, I knew Dave from college. He was in architecture. And I needed someone to finish some of the drawings, like the travel tube, because Jeff Mandel went off to college and wasn't available. So I was basically either using whatever photographic material I got from ITC. There were no home videos at the time, so I was using 16 mil prints. And I remember with the travel tube car, we had an editing deck at Starlog, and I just unspool an episode, and with a little loop eyepiece, I'd be studying 16 mil frames, trying to draw up details that I could pass on to David and say, because Jeff did the initial travel tube car, which was just the shape. And then I had to sit there and do that whole design that was on the front end. I never saw what the front end looked like till years later when Phil Ray had it.
Roy had mentioned that he met Steve Schmidt at a creation convention back in the late 1980s, Small World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Steve used to do a lot of conventions. Last time I saw Steve was, I think it was 2005. We went to a chiller together.
Okay.
And ran into Francis Matthews, who did the voice of Captain Scarlet. And
well, funny thing is, Keith Young. Keith Wilson. I don't even know who Keith Wilson is. Keith Young, when he made, I heard he
was an art director on something.
Maybe. So, anyway, so Keith Young, when he came up with his packets, that was late 80s.
Yeah, he a couple of years ago he sent me his first CD-ROM
Oh, nice.
of just the bass, and it was stunning stuff. You know, it's great to study stuff.
I loved how you followed your
Yeah.
format.
Yeah, I mean, the only sets that we had the actual blueprints of was, of course, the sound stage from Series 2 that was in the making of 1999.
Yep.
Everything else I had to sort of sketch up. I mean, I did a lot of sketches of Koenig's office trying to decide the furniture arrangement, because that would change from every few episodes.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have the round table, and the round table wouldn't be there, and suddenly there's a lot of couches, and then they're not there. But that was the nature of the first series because of the way it was shot. That's why there's so many different medical center sets, and there's never one single set. So that was like impossible to decide what are we going to do.
What I want to know is where that stairwell went in the on the right side of main mission in the later episodes. Where'd that go?
Yeah.
Stairwell. There a stairwell?
So you remember the stairs that go up to the
I
windows
remember
on the
you
right-hand
could
side?
right.
Yeah, those disappeared.
I think there was a hit. They do?
They did. Yeah. Check it out. Check out some of the later episodes of 1999. You'll see that there's a stairwell up to the windows on the right hand side of the big screen, and then it disappears. It's all flat. Check it out.
It's on the right side of the big screen. Oh, you mean you mean the levels up to the windows.
Stairs levels, yeah. Yep.
Nah, that's upstairs. I'm thinking of the staircase up to the balcony.
No. That's always been there.
That was only in the first 4 episodes. After Ring Around the Moon, they basically redesigned that set because it was so difficult to pull that section out.
Gotcha.
Every time they wanted to shoot from that angle and then put it back. So to just flatten it out, all they had to do was pull the wall out now instead of pulling the flooring as well.
Gotcha.
Because look at some of the behind the scenes shots. The cameras are tremendous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then where do the Eagle walkways go in year 2?
Again, that was a layout.
Space.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but it was a terrible decision. Every time I watched the show, I kept thinking, why don't they just not shoot down into the passenger module, and it would still look like that area is still there.
Yeah. And
they could have just gotten away with it. But I think it was just simply that everyone who was doing it wasn't paying attention to that was a fact. It was just, again, convenience to shoot the show at such a fast rate.
Right. I understand that. Looks like on YouTube here we have hi guys from Paisley, Scotland. Looks like Peter O'Rourke is joining us.
Peter, yeah.
And then Mark Craig is joining us. David must have had the job that all of us would have killed to have back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
It had to be a blast at some point.
It was a blast, but, it was like an uphill battle trying to keep a lot of this stuff in the magazine because, like we've discussed before, at that time, if it wasn't Star Wars, nobody really cared because that's what sold magazines.
Mm-hmm.
We had anything we had on the cover was on the cover at that point because it was trying to sell them off the newsstand because that was your big sales point. I mean, your subscriptions paid your rent, but that was what you were always trying to do to get those numbers up for your advertisers because the more you sold, the more you could charge for ad space.
Right.
Yeah. Looks like David Bolter's joining us. He's wishing you a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Hi, David Bolter.
Now that painting actually sat outside my office. The original painting was on the wall outside my office. And try as I might, they wouldn't let me keep it.
No, it's in somebody else's collection now. They paid a pretty good penny.
Yeah.
From Heritage.
Those first, I think, 4 or 5 issues that we did up, I think 1 to 5 had original covers. Then they started using other art from that point forward.
I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah. That one and the Star Trek one, which was outside the next office over, which was that and the Bionic Woman, $6 Million Man one.
Yeah, so that's the thing
true
I wanted to. You had obviously you had a lot of other things besides 1999 going on. So
yeah, I was doing a lot of the guidebooks.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, after Howard Zimmerman left, a lot of them fell to me. So I'd either do them, and I was editing a lot of stuff.
What an amazing amount of resource of information that you had long before internet had come along, long before any wiki, whatever. It's just those guidebooks were like the go-to source for a lot of us science fiction geeks out there. It's absolutely amazing.
Because the only way you could get an episode guide was from the syndicator, or there were fans out there that would keep a log of episodes and really pay attention. I mean, we had people like Gary Girani working for us. Bijo did a superb job on the animated series. And this was long before some of that stuff was even syndicated. So we were able to start collecting that stuff. And then, as I said, ITC was always an open door to me to go into their archives for press releases and episode guides and stuff.
But I mean,
I don't know how you. Yeah, I don't know how you. I mean, obviously, you had to be out ahead of your next publication.
Oh yeah.
So, how do you finish up what you're doing here and get started on the next one? I mean, that's.
Well, sometimes you're doing stuff simultaneously. Usually what in the old days, as it were. Everything was physically done in a layout, and you'd be editing and trying to get stuff within, the space that you had. You always had a deadline because back then you had to have stuff ready to go to the printer, and a messenger would come, pick up all your galleys, take them to the printer. They send back what they call blue lines a week later, which was the magazine in this like one color that you had one chance to check all your text, all your captions, make sure the photos weren't flopped. And then it went to press. And it was always a race, but you were always working on the next episode. I mean, just like Chris Penfold talked about at the last convention. When they were shooting an episode, they were like 4 or 5 episodes ahead writing scripts for them. Because you had to always keep feeding the beast.
Right.
So
that's what I was going to say. I mean, you're Trek and $6 Million Man, all that stuff going on.
Lots of
you were all over the place.
Run, Close Encounters. As I'm sure Star Wars kind of blew Starlog up, where you guys probably got some good sales from issue number 10 on.
Yeah. Somebody sent a comment here. Was that cover painting by Arnaldo Puzu? And I honestly don't know. I'd have to look up and see if he's credited in the issue. I don't remember who the artists were. I know just the painting that I've had on display that ITC used was by the Gentili brothers, who did covers for O'Quinn's previous magazines, and they were 2 twin brothers who would paint elements of these images and then glue them together like a collage. Which is why it's
amazing. Like there's like 3 iterations of that one painting that you have.
Right.
Used for the Laserdisc, used for the technical notebook, probably a lot of TV guides across that current time period.
Yeah. Well, there was the first version that they did that ITC then did high definition transparencies of these 4 by 5 inch transparencies, but then they sent it back to be corrected. And then when that came back, and again, they did the transparency, they also had a black and white version that they touched up so that certain things would show up better in black and white.
Right. So
go ahead.
I was going to say, so do we want to fast forward to Starlog number 20, where Superman was on the cover, and this was a huge deal for Space Report, which turned into this.
Right. Well, most ITC shows were re-edited for theatrical release in Europe. Certain countries that didn't have many TV stations, if at all, still had movie theaters. So shows like The Saint, Secret Agent, they edited into movies, sometimes 2-part episodes, sometimes a mess of episodes. And the London office of ITC did that movie, which I cheated a little and put it on, in the magazine as it's a movie. Kind of hoping that it would come out here, but it didn't. And then London said, okay, we're going to do another one. And they were going to do Breakaway and War Games. And for some bizarre reason, they actually put money into it and shot this whole conference room sequence to link the stuff together, which was kind of a weird thing to do. But from that, I pitched the idea to Bob Mandel about doing a package of TV movies. And then that was also to give Jerry publicity so that as he was going around trying to get projects launched, he was able to say, look, my stuff is still on air. And it also gave me a chance to watch a lot of the old series that I hadn't seen in years.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, so there was a total of 4 Space 1999 movies.
Yeah, we did 2 more.
Out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cosmic Princess, Journey Through, Black Sun, of course, Alien Attack and Destination.
Yeah. And the odd thing about Cosmic Princess was we had got Barry Gray to give us additional music after we did Invasion UFO, which was the first one. And Bob used library music, and Barry was not happy about that. So he said, I will give you tapes of the music that you can cut and move around. Well, Bob liked to slather the movies all with music for some reason. I think he thought that the Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny cartoon effect worked better. And when we did Cosmic Princess, there was some kind of legal problem with Derek Wadsworth music being reused. I think because of whatever kind of agreement that they did for Series 2. So Bob decided, well, let's just put in Barry Gray's music. So it was like the first chance people got to see what the show would have been like had Barry been around for Series 2. But it's an odd mix of Derek's jazz and Barry's more orchestral stuff.
Right.
Anyone who has got the network year 2 has Seed of Destruction, which is completely done with Barry's music, even the main titles. So that's more of a whole episode, and it's kind of an odd duck the way the show shows up with this sort of mix of year 1 and 2, because it doesn't look the same, but it sounds the same.
Yeah. So we have Nick McCarty asking, David, would you like to see Starlog back or maybe revamped, etc.? Thank you.
Oh, sure. Why not? I mean, there's so much to talk about. I know that, it was surprisingly how they missed the boat on going digital when that came down. Fangoria, which was one of our magazines originally, I think got sold off, is thriving as a digital magazine. So
David Bolter was asking, when you talk about compiling photos and interviews from all the different sources / properties, Logan's Run, Star Wars, Trek, etc., did it become more competitive after Star Wars was released because the print industry finally took notice of screen sci-fi as a lucrative property for the masses in a big way?
No, at the time it still was, the attitude was science fiction was still more for kids. If you look at any shows that were on at the time, a lot of them are really toned down, talking down to the audience. I think what's made science fiction better on television is the fact that because of the way the property is now delivered digitally and such, that shows are now giant story arcs. So there's much better way of developing a story instead of doing self-contained episodes that have to start and stop. And it could be because all of Jerry's shows were done with the idea that they were going to be mixed up. I mean, we all know Dragon's Domain was like episode 2 in some markets, and that's
right
at the end of this, was done at the end of the series. Nowadays, everybody could see it in the same order it was meant to be produced. Although the networks did up until recently also scramble a lot of shows. Firefly was the first episode was not the 2-hour pilot. So the networks still kind of dicked with that from time to time, and that hurts the storytelling process.
Oh yeah. Looks like Eric Longstreet says hello, everyone. Timothy Smith actually said special thanks to all the Starlog gang. Their information, both text and photos, were major helps to modelers back then, along with the making of book. That is pretty much all we had to go with then. The monthly guide to making your one FX was also incredibly helpful. Yeah. And those techniques were used in making many fan-made films, including my own.
Yeah, well, that was Kerry O'Quinn's passion, was the homemade market. I mean, Starlog had a film festival at one point. His ultimate goal was he wanted to get a lot of that stuff released on home video. And, one of the problems we ran into was everyone was using copyrighted music and stuff. So it was like, oh, now what are we going to do?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we put things out like one of our guys was into making sound effects. So we put out a sound effects record to help them out. It was all a learning experience, but it was because everybody who worked at the magazine had a passion in certain areas. Some were into the literature end more. I mean, I've told the story at the convention where where Martin Landau used to call me up at the office and want me to compile a list of books to read, because he was a big science fiction reader. So you want to know what the latest books were, because you weren't going to go to the New York Times.
Mark.
Yeah, you weren't going to go to the New York Times book review for this stuff. Oh, those old things. Oh, yeah.
Mark.
Hey, Mark.
You've been hanging out in the back room.
Hello.
Hey, Mark.
My favorite Bibles from the time.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what's amazing is that, obviously, for us in the UK, there were certain series in here that we never got to see at the time.
Yeah.
And so I read a lot about particular series, and years later, I finally get to see them.
Oh, well, it was the same. It was the same thing with a lot of British shows.
Yes.
All the early Doctor Who's, our first Doctor Who's were the Tom Baker ones, even though some of the John Pertwee ones made little inroads in public television, but not too much. So you'd read about this. My only source of them was reading the novels to know what the early stories were. That's why I was the only one in the office who really knew about the history of Doctor Who, because I read the novels.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Looks like Michael Hodges is asking about was David involved in a short film that had a TIE fighter attacking the magazine's New York offices?
I don't recall. I think it was one of the. Oh, maybe that was the Starlog Birthday Fantasy. Because Kerry made a film, and I think that's the one. Okay. Where we're having like a birthday party in the conference room, and then we're all imagining things, something like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually on YouTube somewhere.
The commercials.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wearing that stupid T-shirt that Kerry insisted I wear, and the cake was not real.
Oh,
what?
Darn!
No, it was like plaster, and we're like, you couldn't even give us a real cake, for God's sake. We're just stay here all afternoon. It was terribly wrong, but that's film.
Probably a lot more work to make that cake than it would have been just to order one.
It was more work to throw that cake out. It weighed a ton.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
This is props for you.
Yeah. Jeff Rubel, the other comments are coming from the YouTube live feed.
Yep.
So he was asking.
I've only seen this one.
comment.
Mark, was this you that made the comment about Arnaldo?
Yes, it was.
Okay, yeah.
Because the artwork to me looks very like Arnaldo Puzo, who used to do the front covers of Lookin'. So to me, it looks very similar to his style. So I just wondered.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was somebody probably local in New York.
Right.
Yeah.
Peter O'Rourke said there was a. He also thought it was Arnaldo, because there was a magazine in British called Look In, which we all.
Well, yeah, we've seen the Look In ones. I mean, the Look In 1999 one makes the rounds. The one without any of the text on it.
Yeah, Arnaldo did lots of the look-ins around about the 1977, 1978 period. He did.
Unless he was doing work in New York, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It just looks like his style, you know.
I'd have to check the magazine. I'd have to go to one of the PDFs or something and see. If anyone doesn't have the magazine, if you go to internetarchive.org, they have all the Starlogs in PDF and e-reader and different formats. I mean, the PDFs are the best because you can look over the whole magazine and
right. I go there quite often.
I spent weeks downloading all of them just to have a backup archive, so I didn't have to go to the bins and pull them out.
Might as well.
Yeah. What do you think of the British magazine Sci-fi now?
I mean, all the other there were a lot of good magazines that are around now. It's not like the ones that were published around the time of Starlogs that went 1 or 2 issues and were simply made up of press releases,
right?
Like Space Wars and some of the other ones. They were just there because someone said, "Oh, let's do a science fiction magazine."
You guys were the pioneers. You guys set the standard. You really did.
Yeah,
it was amazing. So you had some good-looking eagles behind you, I see.
Well, you got the one that Ed Marecki built from, I believe it's AB Models. I always forget which one it actually came from. It's all customized. So it has the 22-inch scale remote arm that I got from Phil, which we believe was built for the show but just not used. It's also been rigged, so I've had on display at the convention the original 22-inch freighter module. So it fits into that. So we had to move where the mounting screws were. That's the one that you see in beginning of Breakaway unloading. The original 11-inch Eagle with the lab pod on it that I've had at the convention. I just put the Konami next to it. Down there we have the 1612 VIP. The Product Enterprise VIP, the Dinky, the large moon buggy that you see in the shots with Brian Johnson and Sylvia Anderson holding the little moon buggies and stuff, and of course the working Comlock, the non-working working Comlock. And just for fun, I dug this out for when I was doing I can reach it in Inglorious Trexperts podcast. This is Ed Marecki's original tricorder from Star Trek: The Next Generation, Ensigns of Command. It was the first. It was the first one he built for the show. They wanted hidden hinges, which of course meant it broke very quickly because it's just held by 2 wires and some tape. And at some point, I have to dig out the battery and see if I can get a new battery to replace because it still works.
Nice.
So
that buggy,
Todd, there you go.
Yeah, this one right here.
Right. That's the one that you see in Full Circle, moving away from the Eagle. The Koenig figure is actually a redressed Airfix soccer player.
That's why he's in that position.
Which you can get on, people have it on eBay. Yeah, I think that what they use the soccer player model as casting because that's like some kind of putty or something. It's very fragile.
Yeah.
I only got the Koenig. I didn't get the Helena Russell. We don't know what happened to it. And I would have liked to have the astronauts, but nobody knows where the astronaut figures went to. You could just see the little paint dabs where they touched them up at some point. And it does have a motor in it. It does have a motor in it, but it weighs so much the motor can't get out of its own way.
Yeah, I remember reading something about that. And I think Brian Johnson said something in one of his interviews that it was motorized and it worked like twice or something like that, and then it just wasn't big enough to move itself.
Yeah, it won't even.
Then they tied a string to the beginning of it.
Yes, yeah. There's string holes in the front and back. Yeah, there you go. It just weighs too much. I mean, on a flat surface, it won't really roll. But it could be because the wheels are loose too from just age.
So. Here's another shot of it. Let me bring it up.
Yeah.
So while he's doing that, looks like Peter had asked, what did you think of Space Station 76?
I have not seen it. No, not yet. No.
Gotcha. It's supposed to be a lot of homage to the design work.
Yeah, I've seen photos of it. I mean, it's definitely Keith Wilson's artwork. Yeah, there you go. You could just make out if you just look right down under the headlight, you see the hole for the string.
Mm-hmm.
And you could even see the orange paint right on the seat there.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the astronauts. It's definitely astronaut color. So I never understood why any of the front ends are shallow, which is not the way the Amphicat looks.
Right.
It's a weird thing.
And it's only in the model because the Amphicats that they used, the real ones in the show, didn't have all that. It was a lot wider in there.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of was that the astronaut figures wouldn't have fit unless they gave them all that leg room. Because with the wheel wells and everything, I don't know how they actually sat in there without their legs being really tight together.
All the way to the side.
Yeah, you could see the wheel wells on either side of his legs.
Yeah,
which runs the whole length. So it's not really built for more than one person, really. Yeah, exactly. Just like that.
That's the Product Enterprise, the large one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see the front is a little bit more deeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a split one.
Yeah.
I think they only made 200 of these. Did they? Was it only 200 of these that Product Enterprise made?
Yeah.
I got the last one because I'd intended to buy it and didn't, and then it went off their website, and I thought they're all gone. And I emailed the guys, and they said, "Well, I think I've got one left in the cupboard." I said, "Please, can I have it?" And he sent it to me, so I got it.
They're nice. They're not bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what the new one's going to be like. You know, with the new Alan Carter spacesuit figure. So there's a buggy coming out.
Why does their Alan Carter look like he's constipated? Every picture is like. I'm like, what is that?
It's a good question. That is a good question.
The ones the moon buggies I'm curious about is what are the ones that with the little 5.5-inch Eagle's going to look like in that scale, because that is really
little.
No, but I mean, what kind of detail are they going to be able to hold on to that? I mean, I think that's a nice size because it's interesting that that's the first model that's actually done to studio scale, because there were 5.5-inch Eagles that were built for the one to be swallowed by Ara's ship. And it's the one you see docking with the space dock in Dragon's Domain, which is way out of scale. It should be half that size. But I mean, the 1612 Eagles are like about 12 inches, I think. So it's about an inch longer than the 11. The 11 is actually 10.5 inches, if we want to be accurate. They just round up. And the Dinky is about 9.5. So it's just slightly smaller. So now I'm going to get a 10-inch one from Hero Collector.
Yeah, Eagle Moss. Yeah,
odd size. Why not do 11? Do studio scale, for goodness sake.
Everyone but the actual one.
Well, who knows?
Who knows?
But it's always funny to see how they play with the detail on the models. I mean, I just get over the fact that if you want a really accurate eagle, we've got to put the Apollo lunar modules on them. And it's like now that's all you see is these lunar modules sitting on top of the eagle.
Yeah, once you see them, you can't unsee them.
You know, you can't
unsee
but
them,
it's
yeah.
like, and I remember only seeing it on the one publicity shot of the eagle from Metamorph, where you could clearly see it, but that was the only time you ever noticed it. It's like noticing the screw-on points for the modules, which you only see in one episode. That they just decided, okay, it's there. We're not going to. But they always were really clever at hiding that.
Yeah.
No kidding.
But at that time, we weren't ever expected to be able to look at them in freeze frame on Blu-ray screens.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, I would tell Brian to his face, the first time I saw it, I did pick up the fact that he had two eagles flying into each other. When they went off, I think it was in War Games, they fly up to the side of the screen, they suddenly go right through each other.
It's the Dorcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dorcons.
Dorcons, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
Nice.
You picked up on certain things, yes, but it was gone. And you forgot about it. But these days, it's like,
you got to admit, it was really difficult to see that stuff on a 19-inch color TV rolling around on your wheels that your mama had, you know. Back in the day.
How about the little black and white one that was in the kitchen next to the table? That was all you could watch.
Even better.
When you ate dinner.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, even better.
When I first saw the first season, I had to watch it mostly on a 4.5-inch black and white portable screen, one of those big tape decks with a television on, halfway up a mountain on the island of Anglesey, because that was the only place I could pick up the signal from a fairly distant TV station that was showing it. It's when I first got my first car when I was 18.
Yeah, see, he's got me beat from when I was in first year of college, when I'm up in Cortland, New York, and I'm like trying to get some UHF station to watch it.
Hold your hand up this way.
Yeah,
hold your hand up this way.
Yeah. Lift your
better. It's better.
If you go like this, now I see it.
No, the worst though was because as I've said so often about how I got to see Space 1999, I only got to see the second series first. When I'd been living in Germany when it was shown in Britain the first season, so I didn't get to see it. So I came back and they started showing year 2, and after 9 episodes, I was living in the Midlands area where ATV Midlands was screening it. Moved to Anglesey, and the regional ITV station there, HTV, wouldn't buy it. But Granada were showing it, which I could pick up as a very, sometimes, and when it was good weather, a very grainy picture, probably with no sound, just this static sound, and all I could see was this ghosted image of people moving around the screen, and that was how I tried to watch some of those latter episodes of year 2 for the first time. It was just impossible.
And here we are wallowing around in Blu-ray land, just it's not fair, but you got the whole freaking library.
The color is not corrected right.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you do? Crack. Enjoy the damn show.
No, you have to buy the $600 Japanese Blu-ray because the reds are just that much brighter.
That's right.
That's right.
Back in those days, in the early 1980s, and before the series came out on VHS videotape in the 90s.
Yeah.
For us to get to see our favorite series was just such a huge task. If you were lucky that it was going to get repeated.
Oh yeah.
The lengths that you would go to see it, but also. It's like as Starlog was to me, and looking when the series I couldn't see it because either it had stopped showing or whatever, and it was my only way of keeping in touch with the series and my memory of that series. So every month when Starlog came out, I really looked forward to it. Is there going to be more on Space 1999?
Yeah. I mean. Like we were talking about the Super Space Theater movies. I mean, that was my opportunity to sit and watch episodes of shows that I hadn't seen in years. or to get to see shows I never saw before, because like we talked about when we did the Joe 90 movie, it was never aired in here, and that was the first chance I got to see any episodes.
And it sure was nice that when they finally put them out on VHS, even with Sybil Danning as doing the instrument to the early movies, you know, running 2 different VCRs and then trying to copy Destination Moonbase Alpha onto a blank tape, you know, that was an expensive night, but it was nice to see after all those years going through the Japanese guidebook, eyeballing the tech manual for many months, many weeks, many whatever. And then, Tim Heald's Making of Space 1999. These are the only things that we had long after the show was canceled.
Exactly.
And it was not. And of course, I don't know why J2 Communications only put 4 volumes out, where the Laserdisc market just put out 23 out of the 24 volumes.
Well, that was because of the TV movies.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is I don't understand why they put just 4 volumes on VHS. You know, but I had to scour all across the Southeast United States in their clearance bins to complete the 23 volume laser disc. I
mean, my understanding with the J2s were that they put out 4 initially to test the market, to see how they would sell before they did the other ones. But why they picked those episodes, I didn't understand. Because
I don't either.
There were so many stronger episodes they could have let off with, especially the first episode. But again, I think that had to do with the TV movies,
right?
Because
so why don't we talk? You want to do a little bit of a plug on this book here?
Fanderson did
an amazing book on this.
Fanderson had been after me for a long time to write about the movies, and I just felt a little odd writing about myself. So I convinced them to bring in somebody who really knew the movies backwards and forwards. And he just interviewed me, and I gave him some background information. And I had a lot of the promotional material, so we scanned the original artwork from the slides I had, and they were able to do those mini posters. So it's the most complete story about the movies, and you have all that artwork.
Yeah, even from the other TV movies, that I think every piece. Sorry, I had it upside down. Every piece.
It's more exciting that way.
Artwork. Yeah. But if you were to go to Fanderson, of course, if you're a member, you got to be a member. Yeah. But if you were to go to Fanderson, these books I believe are still available. You get every print of each one of these posters. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah. And they actually use this on the Laserdisc for the USA market.
Well, because that's what they were made for. Some of the video cassettes have those covers, and some they just made their own covers for. I mean, the Stingray one, the Thunderbirds one you just had, those were on the that one too on the Family Home Entertainment releases that were all in the big cardboard sleeves. That one too. I think only the Thunderbirds one, the original Thunderbirds to the Rescue, they changed. They used that one, and they used the other Captain Scarlet. Yeah.
Yeah, this was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then,
we had some.
Let's see here. Another Captain Scarlet.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. And then, of course, my favorite for 1999 is this one.
Those were all done by, I think, Tom Chantrell, I think.
Yep.
Who was a big poster artist. So, I mean, Bob Mandel got a lot of good people to do the posters for us too. So,
the question.
Fanderson, if you're a Fanderson member, you should get that book.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff from Fanderson. Of course, if you want the soundtracks and everything.
Dennis said that he got to hold the your prop. The 12,
but he didn't get a picture.
Eagle. Yeah, he forgot to get a picture.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't until the second convention that I got Nick to hold the eagle, so I know how he feels.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
you got pictures of that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need some of those because I don't think I have that one, but I do have this one.
There, that's the important one.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Nick Murray, yes, the book I believe is still available through Fanderson, but I believe you have to be a member in order to order anything off their catalog.
Yeah, but it's definitely worth it.
Can anybody explain the bottle of liquor behind it? I forget the story behind that.
I don't remember. That was at the 2017 convention.
Yeah,
so
that was at 2017.
So that's a blur at this point.
Yeah, I forget what it was back there.
That was when Todd had his Paul Morrow stash of the 70s.
I know we had a lot of weird things stashed under the tables, but that was for something else. Yeah, because I normally keep the lab pod on that Eagle because with the longer pads, it gives it more of a structural support because it's just sitting on the counter instead of putting the other pods on, because I always worry about from age the metal might start to bend a little bit. But that's the one you see in the end title in every episode, that configuration. Yeah. And Brian cannot remember why that design was built, what its intention were. He just said we did different designs and we just picked the ones we liked and used them. So there was some intention for it in the first season, and it just never got completely realized until the second season.
Well, I think you've held just about every freaking ship that there was made for Space 1999.
Yeah.
Can you name one you didn't get your hands on?
Let's see. I never saw the Moonbase Alpha model.
Okay.
And only on the buildings. Yeah, you've seen it. Because I don't know, that was too. Yeah, well, there's the Altaris, the small one, which hands down, for whatever reason, that is one of my favorite Martin Bauer models. I don't know why.
Well done.
I just love the look of it. You could see the small ultra probe there. That little red thing is actually a telephone, one of the puppet scale telephones. He brought a couple of little props that he was able to sneak into his luggage. And all these stands. My Eagle used to sit on one of those little flying stands through the little pipe mount that's between the engines. But again, that's loose, so I don't use it anymore. Right behind me is a mannequin with an original Ed Straker outfit that Phil brought.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was that. And there's a Sid. There's a Sid model there,
Sid was built by Ed Marecki. And the funny thing is, Ed built that based on the fact that he identified certain kit bits. So he basically built a studio scale Sid without really having blueprints. And years later, when we finally got a good look at what the back end of Sid looks like, he nailed it. Just from the one shot from one episode where Sid goes into a spin.
Let's see if I can get another picture with stuff in the background.
Yeah, the blueprints on the walls were Steve Corbett's blueprints of Martin Bauer's ships, which were going to be used in the supplement. Now, unfortunately, I loaned them to Ed Marecki, and we don't know where they are.
Yeah.
Ed?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Ed did a lot of work kind of like that stuff back in the day.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, Ed did worked on the early 90s restoration of the Starship Enterprise model, and I worked on that project with him. That was another rush job. So that was like 6 weeks start to finish, and did not have the time or resources they had on the more recent one, which is why the recent one turned out so beautifully. You can see that there were two interceptors, the small and the large. Those are the originals.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was an Ed Stryker until you said something. I thought somebody was back there doing the Saturday Night Fever dance.
No, we had a couple of mannequins with some original costumes. Yeah.
Ed Stryker just dressed so well.
Yeah. Ed wanted that costume badly.
Did he?
And he couldn't come to terms with him. Oh, and there's the smaller moon buggy there. You see just under me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love the stands that they used for the Eagles too. Those were kind of neat in the Hawk.
Yeah. As I said, I had one for mine, but it's gone. They all fixed into the pipe mounts in the backs of them.
Yeah.
You could see mine just between the Hawk and the Rescue Eagle flying on the stand. But I think shortly after that, I noticed that the little pipe was loose, and there was no way to get in there to solder it. So
is that Ultra Probe command module? Is that original?
Yes. Yeah, that's all original. The only thing that was recreated there was Sid, which was Ed's, and there was a spacesuit that was also Ed's. But this was all the stuff that Phil Ray stuffed into his luggage.
Wow.
I mean,
how did he stuff the 44-inch Eagle in luggage?
It basically was taken apart.
Right.
It breaks down really simply because
my point is that I don't think he was able to get through. He had to pay extra for the weight.
Well, no. Yeah, because I think Phil bought like one change of clothes and that's it, and everything else were Eagles. But back then you could get through customs with this stuff without a problem. Nowadays you can't, which is why I told Rob right off the bat, if I come to the convention next year, I won't be able to bring anything because I'm not going to be able to get over to England carrying the stuff in my luggage.
Right.
We had a hard enough time getting the Thunderbirds puppet back from England after 9/11, and they definitely did open the head up when I got it from customs.
Did they really?
Yeah,
they still do.
Yeah,
they still open them. They even leave a little sticker.
Yeah, but when I brought him over for the charity exhibition initially, I put him in a carry-on bag, and it was like this was. The ticket agent, the gate people, all this is a fun thing. What do you have in there? Oh, that's so adorable. Nobody paid attention to mine, but then they see the solenoid and it's like, oh, what is that? You can blow something up. Yeah, there you see some of the other stuff. That is the little blonde thing. That's not Ed Straker's wig or Barbara Baines. That is one of the creatures from Rules of Luton. I had the mask, but the thing was so fragile it literally fell apart. Because it was very thin rubber to go on. I think that's all puppet props in front of the Ultra Probe, computer panels and stuff from Captain Scarlet or Joe 90. And everybody who came in there was just, really respectful of anything, just like at our exhibition. We were kind of worried that something might disappear, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
We also had on an opposite wall, ITC had loaned me some of the space station was there, but on the other side where this picture's taken, if it was behind you, we had Gray Morrow brought some of his artwork from the comic books to display because he was a guest at that convention too.
Thought I had those pictures somewhere.
Yeah, you probably do. So we had a really good, because basically I wanted to do Space City USA, which they did. So it was a nice little thing. I mean, that was my thing for the convention, was setting that up. Ed was the dealer's room because he knew all the dealers from other conventions. So
what convention was that?
That was the Springfield convention in '82.
So I had a plethora of those photos from my personal collection and yours, Dave, that I'll share on props tonight with all of our members.
Sure. Yeah.
Lot of good stuff. And Dave, I really do appreciate you sharing just about everything that you had participated in the past. Good stuff. I've actually shared it like a dozen times already, but I'll do it again. Throw it at the top of the thread.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
So,
what was your interactions with Jerry? Was it a lot or just a little bit?
Well, for the 5.5 years I was at Starlog, it was quite a lot. We were constantly in touch. I worked on, as I said, I worked on a lot of his projects as a consultant while we were doing the Jerry Anderson Space Report. I would send him questions for the question and answer things. He'd send me back an audio cassette. We were always, I think we talked like every week.
Right.
And
let's see if we can find.
Well, looking forward to my special edition audio series, hopefully coming in the mail here soon from the Jerry Anderson official store.
Oh, which one is that?
The volume one, the one with the 3 stories that has the extra booklet and the extra.
The Space 1999 thing. Yeah. I don't like to bite the hand that fed me, but I wasn't as impressed with this one as I was with the first one.
Oh,
story-wise, I thought I thought there was quite a bit of a missed opportunity there for them to do something really, really interesting. The first story is, I think, the weakest of all of them. But Andrew Smith's last story, Goldilocks, is actually the best of the 3.
Really?
It's really a superb story. I kind of wish they had started with that one, or even their adaptation of Death of the Dominion could have made a better, I think, second episode.
That's the one I'm looking forward to listening to.
It's an interesting variation. It's still, I still think the episode, the broadcast episode, was better. Because there really wasn't much about the episode that I would say was lacking, needed fleshing out. But there was something in the episode that said to me that this could have been episode 2 and it would have been more of a wow factor. And I think because Nick Briggs had done such a wonderful job of combining all the early drafts of the Breakaway script into his first episode, that he could have gone down a better road that would have filled in a lot of plot holes. I just found that 3 episodes that all dealt with planetfalls was a little bit going back to the show. If you're going to complain about the scientific accuracy of the show, then why do 3 episodes that have them go planet to planet to planet? And they're not. There's nothing that says, "Oh, we're going on to the next planet in the same solar system."
Right.
So I think there was a missed opportunity there, but it's nice that they are doing something different and enough of a flavor of the original show that you could say, yeah, if they were remaking it today, this is what it probably would have been.
Well, we probably are saying the same thing about Ring Around the Moon or Full Circle, as kind of like the not so liked versus the most awesome ones of like, let's say, Dragon's Domain, Another Time, Another Place, whatever,
well,
the original stuff. So
right. Well, it's the placement of the series and how the series was developed, which is what
it'd be interesting to see volume 2.
Yeah. Right. I mean, this is the book that Robert and I have been working on, with Chris Penfold, which is the development of the scripts from the UFO Series 2 into what the show finally was, and how the writers had one idea and they kept getting feedback from America saying, no, that's not what we want. Right. We want you to do this. That kept throwing monkey wrenches, because it was America that said, we don't want any action to take place on Earth, so you have to have a reason that we don't go back to Earth. Mm-hmm. So, Jerry simply said, oh, we'll blow the moon out of orbit or something. I think originally he wanted to blow the Earth up, and they said, well, that's too dark.
That's too dark.
That's too dark. So you'll do this. So then the writers came in going, well, this is kind of, how are we going to work around this weird idea? And they did. And they a lot of them really thought it out. And Chris Penfold, God love him, wrote his heart out to the point that by the time he got before the end of the series, he had to walk away because he was just so burnt out from, all the constant rewrites to appease everybody and still make something that he could be proud of. I don't think there's a single episode where they could say, we really dropped the ball. But I know that there are episodes that he wished they could have done something different that could have been better.
Check this big thing out. Whoa.
Oh, it's swirling. Oh, yeah, that thing. Let me tell you something. That model got really the short end of the stick, because it was such a beautiful model, and it was only shot in a static position in the episode. And they could have done some beautiful flybys of that model. The detailing, especially on the bottom. with it just seeing, and from that angle alone, it's just such an interesting design.
Yeah,
that you just never got to see it.
I like that one too. It's they should have done more with it.
David, I think I read at the time that the model wasn't actually completed in time for when they actually needed to film it. So it was only shot from one angle where it did look completed. So whether that was true or not, I don't know. I presume if it was, they finished it. Marty must have finished it off later, or whatever. You know.
No, I know the top does appear in the show from another angle, but they're all static shots.
Yeah.
My understanding was there just was no time or money in that episode to do a lot of multiple exposure shots.
That was a pretty fast-paced episode.
As big as you.
Yeah. I mean, the money did run out, I think, at that point, money and time. So virtually all the visual effects, even the shots of the probe, are almost completely static. So it's that was the big problem in series 2, was there was a lack of time.
Well, they were against the clock because hadn't Freddie Freiberg had promised them that they would complete filming by Christmas of 1976.
Oh yeah, and they actually started 2 months. They started 2 months late.
Yeah,
they were supposed to start shooting, I think, in October or November, and they didn't start shooting till February the following year. So they were already under the gun. Now here you can see the large ultra probe on the ground. I mean, large Altaris, and then what was left of the Super Swift, which had just really gotten the Mickey kicked out of it.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So where is this room that you're in here?
That's Martin Bauer's workshop in Bracknell at the time.
Wow.
He had this long workshop that ran the length of all these garages for houses in the neighborhood.
You can see the end of the side-on right there.
Yeah. The on the wall behind him was a puppet set prop for a proposed show he was trying to sell. Called it went through a number of different titles, Future Force, other things.
Pretty neat. Yeah,
that was always fun. I mean, between his workshop and Greg Jean's, the biggest fun was just looking under counters and seeing what was lying there.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces. He had stuff left over from Alien, control panels and stuff. It was always cool stuff. And there was at one point we had the grill from Lady Penelope's Fab 1 because he was fixing that up from the exhibition, the big puppet size one. So a lot of cool stuff.
Amazing. Yeah.
Plus, all the replicas he built.
Right. So,
which, Todd, by the way, you actually have one in your collection.
What's that?
A replica.
Glider. Yeah, the glider
replica.
All right. I was listening with this here. No, this I don't know which year, but I was also put a picture up for him.
Todd's the proud owner of a replica.
Yeah, I'll do bring it out in one of the shows here in the near future. So I understand. I've held this also.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see how they're doing this shot right here.
Yeah.
You got somebody holding the cord against his arm back there.
Right. So it stays out of camera range.
And he's looking down at it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how they had to shoot it every time they used that certain working comm, right?
Yep.
And there it is.
And there. Let's get it in. Like that.
Yeah.
And there's the wire coming right off the back. Now, this was actually used in the Blackpool exhibition, and they'd have it in like a black box that you walked up, and there was a hidden camera, and you could see your face on the screen.
I did exactly that.
Right. So this thing worked, for hours at a time. So I don't know if the monitor's burnt out at this point or simply because wires are loose, but being that it's PAL format, it's impossible for me to get anyone to fix it up. And I don't want to replace the guts because it's the original guts and everything. But
Right.
Someone had asked me online about the color, and I had this app on my phone that's supposed to be for painting your room and stuff. And every time I try and take a picture in different light, it won't recognize the color.
Right.
All I can say to people is it's kind of a gray with a slight greenish tinge. And I don't know if that's the age or that was the color for, because everything is off color slightly because of the camera lights are going to change the color anyway. That's why if the first time I saw the Enterprise D in person, it's this crazy duck egg blue color. I mean, the Ertl diecast that came out when the show was released was this duck egg blue. And you watch it on TV and it's gray, and it's simply because of how the cameras,
the lights,
the light and everything pick it up. So that's always the problem with doing a lot of models is either if you want to use the original color, it may not match. So you want to use a color that to your eye looks correct. I mean, I repainted some of the dinky toys like Ed Straker's car, and I ended up with a dark bronze on it, not the bright bronze that you have that the car looks like in the light. But I've seen pictures where the car looks pretty dark. So I just kind of used a color that to my eye looked pretty good in that scale.
We were talking about the cover art in the Starlog 2. It says
Dick Kornfeld. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave Thomas, for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, I see all the wonderful pictures everyone does of the props and stuff, and a lot of them look, really good. I'm hoping that, to see some good stuff of the 1612 Comlock, and see what round 2 comes up with,
I'm thinking the 1612 Comlock and Stun Gun are going to be close to your Diamond Select type stuff for Trek.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? Jim Small had me do intricate measurements of the Comlock and everything for him, and I don't know if Jim works with round 2 or something. So I'm wondering if round 2 use that. It would be kind of nice if they sent me a kit because I contributed, but you
never know.
You never know, but these things happen.
Yeah, he's a consultant.
Yeah.
For round 2.
So he may have used, because, I measured the screen and everything, because I know a lot of people were concerned about the screen shape on the 1612 Comlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is it right here. This is yours sitting on a table. Hold on, let me get this on here. Yep, that's it. Hold on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the back doesn't fit on as well because all the camera equipment is now wrapped in heavy electrical tape, so I think it's too big.
It pushes it back out.
Yeah, well, I think because the way it was displayed at the exhibition, you couldn't see the back very well anyway. So, but I'm not going to force anything.
So you can somewhat see the color there.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, a little darker in real life. But of course, whatever Comlock you're using as your master, because a lot of the Comlocks were simply wooden blocks that had decals on them. There were a couple of Hero models that had 3D buttons and stuff, and only this one. I mean, I guess if you want to go with what you think is the most accurate, I would say this one, since it really is what I would call the principal model, since it was designed to fit the TV monitor. And the glare screen actually does come out. It's clipped on around the monitor, so it can be reversed. So they probably did at one point think they were going to put the glare screen on reverse. That's why you see some of the Comlocks in the first few episodes with the backward screen. I don't think it was a simple accident. I think that was a concept they had originally as to how people were going to, because nobody really knew how to hold it. I think it was Martin Landau who really established the best way to hold the prop.
Yeah, that's
and he would always push that disc to turn it on and off.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Just hold it like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's
It
gonna-
blows up on the
gotta
top
be-
there, you know.
Well, yeah, that too, and then you don't hit the buttons and disconnect yourself.
I think most people were like holding the actual working prop, kind of like this, or
Right.
like this,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. They were just because if they had just the solid blocks, it was just easy to pick them up and handle it. Yeah, same thing with the stun guns. I mean, we saw James Winch's original one, which is the vacuum formed background versions. Yeah, like that.
Yep.
And then they had a couple that were wood, but I think because it was a harder shape to carve, they probably did more of the vacuum form ones, the stun guns.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was so noticeable, you know, in the episode The Immunity Syndrome, when everything's disintegrating and Koenig holds up the comlock as they're in trouble in the Eagle and it explodes in his hand. And just when you first saw that, you think, hang on a minute, why is he holding it in a different way?
Yeah, exactly.
Before? And then suddenly, all the sparks coming out of the top of it. Yeah, that was so noticeable in that episode that they were holding it entirely wrong.
Yeah.
But they obviously had to because of the effect.
Right. Yeah. But but I mean, it was just one of the cooler props from the show, you know. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I mean,
and I don't know if we had the staple guns available that the stun guns look like, but I remember having a staple gun once long after that, and I kept picking up going. You know?
Yeah,
our teachers in school did. So.
Yes.
They had plenty of stunt ones around because the wonky button, like one of the guys that's watching this said, "Where's the wonky button version?"
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they never caught that in their editing, I guess.
I who knows? You know, nobody probably even noticed it, or they just started saying, "Well, it's Martin's comlock. Let him have it." You know?
Yeah. Give me my comlock. You can't touch it.
Yeah.
That comlock, when it was in the Space City exhibition in Blackpool in 1977, when I went there, when I met Jerry myself, that was I think the second time I'd ever seen myself on a television screen, because I remember looking. It was in a glass case.
Yes, yeah.
You could look at it and see yourself looking back at you, and that in those days, for me as a 14-year-old, that was just awesome.
Oh, it was.
Seeing myself on a television monitor.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, nowadays you can walk into any store, and because if they've got the CCTV camera, and sometimes occasionally you might see a monitor somewhere, and you can look at yourself. I mean, today it doesn't mean anything, but back in those days it was like awesome.
Right, it was the prop from the show, and you're seeing yourself as if you would see it on the show.
Yes.
Except that you weren't blue. That was the thing that always was like I loved how the monitors all looked blue. But they weren't, because they were black and white. But it was just again the camera
blue. Yeah.
So it's like you have to make the image blue. I'm sorry.
Right. So was it Gordon? It was Alpha 2017 when you took the pictures of his 11-inch Eagle on my launch pad, wasn't it?
I did both. Yeah,
okay,
so the lab
it was
pod,
2019.
Yeah, the lab pod was
so
2017, and the
yeah.
passenger was 19.
Right.
Because I asked you if you would put passenger pod on this time, because I wanted to get it that way.
There we go. Yeah.
So that was the coolest thing you thought of. Well, one of them so far.
What?
I mean, because you got some
the
cool
only
ideas.
Coolest thing
No, I think you've done a few cool things since then, but to have that on the launch pad like that was perfect.
Now,
I was very appreciative.
Yeah. The one thing I want to mention, the passenger pod was actually repainted, and
it does look a little bit lighter.
Yeah, slightly corrected by Martin Bauer, because when I got the model from him, on one side, they actually had a big hole drilled into the door. And that was for Mission of the Darians, when the Eagle gets drawn to the airlock. It's actually on a pole, and they're pulling it in. And it just it looked terrible. And at that time, I was like, it's okay. You can repaint it. I don't mind. I think it was also missing one. I think it was also missing one of the vertical thrusters, so we had to retool that one. And then he made me a rescue pod, which is plastic, so you feel the weight difference. But then I have the two freighter modules. One was supposed to have the winch, but the winch went missing, so Phil Ray built a replica. And oddly, Phil's replicas were always slightly darker. Yeah, and I think that's where Product Enterprise got their color scheme from when they did them, because their winch unit is darker too.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, right.
First iteration is,
yeah. So there you see the flatbed, and then there's another one with the winch unit. And that one I put the winch unit on because it had the hole drilled into it for the nuclear waste canister. When you see the three eagles flying in formation in Breakaway.
Gotcha. Yeah, those were all 2019 photos. There.
Yeah, I realize that now. They're two different shots, and I need to.
Yeah.
Now I love your launch pad to be able to do that whole the whole diorama.
I mean, it's nice to have a launch pad. It's nice to have a launch pad, but it's like I want to pre-order the 1612 5.5-inch Eagle set, but I don't want the launch pad. I don't want to pay for it. I don't want it. I just want the ships.
You can hang it on the wall if you have wall space.
My what? Yeah.
That was 2017.
Yeah, that was 17.
Oh yeah.
In front of the table, you could there you can make out the moon buggy, the other Eagle modules on the black thing. Phil also did the booster unit and the collision course mine. That's there, and you can see the painting behind Gordon.
Yeah, the painting is awesome.
And the promotional brochures. Yeah, and that's with Gordon's stuff. Was that Gordon's? Is that your table or was that Todd's? Was yours? Yeah.
That's kind of a combo, but the hawk and the eagle.
Was mine. Yeah, 44 would be nice, but you can't fly it without breaking it back.
It's okay. It's okay.
He's like, okay, I'm good with that.
That's why I keep thinking of like these like 10-inch models. Yeah, they're easier to hold. The product and the 1612 ones are just a little too big, but a little smaller. But then I realized the Dinky is like 9.5 inches, so it's not much bigger than the Dinky, the one that Hero is doing.
Yeah,
the Konami replica that the mod, I was able to use your Dinky box for a number of photo shoots of what we should have gotten when we were kids, I guess.
Right. I wish
I
wish they had done more of the Konamis. That's a really good size. Yeah. That's a good size, and they, even with the little cheats they did on them, the detailing is nice. It's my biggest complaint about most of these is that the painting is so inconsistent on the parts. The Konamis, I have one Eagle where the front half is very dirty and the back half is not, and it's the same thing with the 1612. The model with the glide. Well, here you could see that it's mostly pencil and stuff on this version. But like, the 1612 that comes with the immune syndrome with the glider, the pod has got this horrible dark weathering that's so patchwork.
They fixed that in the later versions.
Yeah. So the VIP Product Enterprise that Gordon was kind enough to get for me, somebody sprayed one part of the cages darker than everything else on the model, and it's like, did you look at this? Oh, that's perfect. That's why when I look at the Hero one, I'm thinking maybe they won't dirty them down. Maybe they'll just be a nice, fresh off the factory floor type thing.
Yeah, I think they've gotten that.
Because none of their other models have a lot of dirty. They just try and get the details right.
Right.
1612, when they were Product Enterprise, made the same mistakes years ago when in the mid-2000s, when they released the Shadow mobiles.
Yes.
There was a lot of criticism about some really heavy dirt and weathering
yes.
went on some of them. And I think they later, once they changed back to the lesser.
There is a limited run of the moon mobiles that you are very hard to come by that are nice. But they had other things, color issues. Supercars got a blue back, which it shouldn't have. I think Fireball was a little too pronounced on the rings, and they got some of the details wrong. Stingray, though, but the amazing thing about Stingray is how, if you look very closely, there's a full interior. And I thought, wow, they really went to town on that one.
Yeah.
So,
Here you go. Here's the gang at 2017.
There we are.
That was my very first convention ever.
Really?
Yes.
I would not have known that.
Sure
You were so professional.
Yeah, right.
You
I was way out of my league that day.
You did not drool over anybody. You know?
Well, I did control the drooling, yes.
Yes.
But that was the first time I met you. The first time I met all those people there, except for Gordon.
Yeah.
Very first time. That was a blast. I loved it.
It was such a great little convention. The hotel was superb. Treated us really well.
Yeah, it was very intimate as far as it was like family. It was like a big, like they say, a big family get together.
Yeah, and everyone was so understanding when we had the problem with getting Brian on video. We ended up having to just talk to him vocally.
Oh yeah, I remember
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a great time. It went by so fast doing that stuff.
Yeah. Well, so did the 2019 one. Yeah.
I know. That one went even faster.
Yeah. And we were running around like crazy. I was running like crazy people because I was doing so many things at once.
Oh yeah, I think we had slight, delays and stuff like that, but we didn't do too bad a job with that one.
No. I mean,
it's not like we're professionals or anything like that.
Right.
I don't gig and time.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody complained about things that didn't go down. I mean, I had to bail on doing the convention speech because I was stuck doing the rehearsal for the table read. So, Rosie was able to pitch in, and everyone was happy with that. And then, when we're doing our closing thing, nobody had a bad word to say. No.
I think both conventions went off really well.
Yeah,
I enjoyed them, and I know a lot of the people that have replied about it have really enjoyed it. The people that made it to the convention, like I said, I met so many different people.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I became good buddies with Nick Tate.
Yeah.
I mean, who'd ever thunk that? Thunk. Who the hell says thunk? Who ever thought that?
Todd does.
It's a good solid Todd word.
I thunk it. Boy, did I thunk it.
Yeah.
We had Mike and Debbie Reeder there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun meeting all those people. I mean,
and who would think that Yasko would turn out to be such a sweetheart? I mean, I thought, they're inviting her. She was such a minor character in the show, and yet she is the nicest person. We were out in LA a couple of months later, and she insisted on taking my wife and I out for lunch.
Saw the photos. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did. Somewhere, somehow, I know I got a picture of me and her together, but I can't find it. It's not in any of my pictures.
I'll have to look through mine.
Because I asked somebody to take a picture of her and I, and I can't find it.
We have to ask people. Send out the call. Somebody's got a picture.
Yeah. So
Roy has mentioned. Yeah, I was going to say Roy mentioned Yasko is a true sweetheart.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
She's so quiet.
Guys, I gotta wrap up here. So you guys have a wonderful rest of your shot. I do.
What?
It's the boss. It's the boss.
Oh,
I got a boss.
That boss.
Yeah, I got a boss.
Gotcha.
But anyway,
We
Dave,
all have a boss. Yeah.
Dave, I wanted to say at least really do appreciate everything that you've contributed. I
Thank
do
you.
appreciate at least having some great time to chit chat once again today. You have I don't know, sparked and kept a lot of things going in the past where other people they moved on and everything. Not that I'm trying to dwell in 1999 or whatever, but you've been one of the primary sources to keep this show alive, especially in our hearts and minds. So really
you
do
guys are
appreciate
doing
it.
a great job now. So
No, I
all,
appreciate that too. But throughout the '80s and whatnot, it was very instrumental. So really do appreciate it, and I'll chat with you guys later. It's wonderful to see you guys. So have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Okay. Take care.
See you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks. Great.
Yeah, I'm not actually not paying attention, but I'm looking down at my iPad trying to find if I have a photo here. Well, I have a photo of you and Nick. Let's see.
Nick is so cool. I mean,
Well,
all
here, I don't know if you can see it. That photo
I've
of
got
you
that
with
one.
everybody. You got
Yeah.
that one.
But I asked somebody to take a picture of just me and her, and she's the only one I can't find. Do you remember this? Captain Phil made this.
Yeah. That he actually left that behind accidentally from the 2017 convention, and I took it home and had to ship it to him. Not ship it to him. No. Not ship it to him. He came and picked it up at my.
You guys are living in the same vicinity.
Well, we did. Now he's all the way upstate and got.
Oh, that's right. He did move, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, because he retired.
Oh, I know.
Lucky bastard.
Hey, I guarantee nobody else has had one of these at their convention.
Yeah, that was like
a Coke can eagle.
It was the weirdest thing. Let's see. I got you and Barbara, you and Anton. I'm just like going through picture after picture after picture.
Yeah, you don't have to do it right now, but if you do come across one,
sure.
I'd love to see them.
Absolutely.
But that's the only one I don't have from 2019.
Yeah.
She was so quiet. I had to ask her, and then she would just tell me. And we talk, and she just had this real light voice. I was like, she's so dainty.
Yeah,
but she was cool as hell.
Oh, knowledgeable and everything. I mean, she, what she does a regular job. One of the things is she's the person who puts together the gift bags for the Golden Globes.
Oh wow!
So she gets in touch with all these high-end fashion places to give them stuff to give out. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and before this whole pandemic thing, she was going back and forth from Japan and everything. So lots of things. She's a busy lady. But they're all wonderful people. I mean, like you said, Nick, he was a terrific. Because I was helping him he was trying to get his audition thing up for The Boys, and he was like in panic. He couldn't find the script and everything on his phone.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, unfortunately, he lost out the part, but he lost out to John Noble. So it's like at least he lost out to somebody who I could see playing the role, but still. It's fun to watch him do it. We were watching when he did The Blacklist, and we're like, wait a minute. He's only on for the first half of the show? Come on.
Come on, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I've purchased a lot of his DVDs that he's been in the movies, like The Devil's Playground and all that stuff. So I've been going back through and watching them because I didn't realize he was in those.
Yeah.
So,
he's in an episode of The Champions. I think it's called Dark Island or something.
Right.
He plays this military guy who lands on an island, and his partner is Anthony Ainley, who went on to play the Master in Doctor Who. So he's in a lot of little bits like that. When he came to England. So it's fun watching. watch The Protectors with Yasko in the first season as Harry Rule's housekeeper.
I like this picture too.
Yeah, that was from 2017.
Yeah,
with his beard.
Nick was so cool. Yeah.
Oh no, he's a great guy. He was fun at when we did the early conventions. He was the one at when we were doing the first convention. He took me aside. He goes, Martin is so much fun. If Barbara was here, he would not be that much fun because he tends to be restrained around her. His base thing is when he's not around Barbara, he's a big kid, which he was.
Yeah,
he was like the coolest guy. He was just into everything.
Yeah. We had. I can't find anything bad about any of the conventions I went to and helped do. So I'm just glad it got done.
No, we had cool guests who were all just wonderful and open to talk to. It was great that we were able to hook up with people online like Clifton, who I hadn't seen in years. We used to pal around London all the time. So,
we got very close to having Clifton at the convention too.
Yeah, it was a shame that he got sick like that. And I know Suzanne was really worried about his health.
She was kind of aggravated with him for doing something when he knew he was getting ready to go.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, she was like,
you can understand that. Here's a good picture of you guys and Nick.
Yeah. Well, there's a funny story behind that picture. When Nick and I first ran into each other 2017, I was with my wife, and I said, Renee, I want you to meet Nick Tate. And she goes, we've met. And I'm like, what? Yes, we've met. How? Oh, when I went out to the pool that morning, he was out there and we got to talking. I'm like, oh, okay. And then later at the end of the convention, I said, oh, Nick gave me his email address. Yeah, I know. He gave it to me too. Okay.
Who am I?
I mean, it was my wife's first convention. She had never seen this side of me before. So this was all eye-opening to her. And it was like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to famous people. Yes, we've met.
I met him before you did. That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we that's the first time I met you was at that convention.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was a blast.
Yeah.
I met a lot of people there.
Yeah. I mean, we just had so much fun setting up the display room and everything. And
Chris Paulson, I'd always seen pictures of him and seen him online, but I'd never seen that goofball anywhere.
Yeah.
He is a nut.
Yeah. We have characters. Dave Bolter, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Just everyone really just really just so much fun.
All these people here, I've obviously stayed pretty good friends with a few of them, but this was awesome to see everybody dressed up in their uniforms.
Well, Chris is actually, I think, he's an original. I think that was one of the ones that he got it at an auction or something.
Right. Yeah, he's
I know somebody has one of the yellow sleeve ones that was sold at the first convention. I can't remember who. Because we had a couple. We had a yellow, a white, and a purple sleeve one. All first season versions that we sold. And I had for the longest time, I had Martin Landau's first season one, which was a heavy piece. But
here's Chris with your comm lock.
Yeah.
Come in, Alpha. Come in, Alpha.
Forgetting he's got one on his belt that probably works.
Yeah.
Yes.
Double
he's holding it in that position as if it's about to explode.
Yes.
Right, he's like, I better back off from here.
Yes.
This could be dangerous.
Yeah. You could actually see the ceramic eagle nose cone in that shot. That's another part I got from Phil Ray, which may or may not have been used on the show. We think it was for a stunt scene. It's only the front section. The back is completely open, so we don't know if it was for an explosion or something. But it's all molded ceramic, the same material the moon buggy's made from. Very heavy, but hollow on the inside. It's painted all the right colors.
Okay, so you mentioned, are you working on a book with somebody?
Well, I'm working on a book with Robert Wood, who did Destination Moonbase. That guy.
He's pretty cool fella.
He is. He's been a terrific writing partner. He's very good at keeping stuff, flowing from me. Because I'm always like, what have I forgotten? What am I supposed to do next? So he's really good about that. And I think our book, if the publishers agree, is probably going to end up being a 2-volume set, because we've got just so much material between all the early scripts and writer's guide that I have. And then Robert's got a lot of material from the Martin Landau estate that's never been seen before.
Wow.
So we're going to have a lot of, and basically we're doing it from the writer's standpoint. So it's a fresher approach to how the series was developed. I didn't want to rehash the Tim Heald book, which really was more about the second series than anything else. But
right.
I was fascinated by the scripts because I actually have about 5 versions of Breakaway under the titles of The Void Ahead, Turning Point. Then there's Jerry and Sylvia Anderson's half-hour Zero-G script, which is the show originally was going to be a half-hour show before it went on to be an hour. So we've got a lot on the development of the show.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to it. Oh, here's a good shot of your stuff right here.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you can see the fill rate pieces is the booster, the waste canister, yeah, and then Martin Bauer. And then of course the collision course, mine, and
so is that an original?
No, that's the replica. They didn't do anything in that scale, but Phil had the original, so he was able to copy the colors and the details. Then the rescue pod is a replica, but everything else is original. There's some of the labels from the set you can see beyond the computer and the MBA thing off the moon buggy. I forget. I think you guys put the little mini stun gun and comm lock down.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah.
The Bill Oram, Uncle Bill.
Yeah.
He made those.
Yeah.
And I bought the masters off of him last
for your ornaments?
Yeah, that's what I'm using for the ornaments.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, this was a huge surprise for me because I didn't know that you owned these items. And so when you got there and somebody said, "Hey, this is the original 11-inch Eagle," I was like, "Thank God I get to see something original."
I wish I had some of the other originals still. It's just that so much stuff I sold off because I wanted to buy the puppet or other reasons. I mean, the space dock was way too big to hold around, even though it came apart very easily.
Yeah, where did that end up being? Do you know?
That actually did end up again with Greg Jean, but it through a guy that bought it off me originally. He worked with us on the Enterprise restoration, and he claimed to have an original Star Trek tricorder to sell me. And we traded a lot of stuff, the Martin Landau uniform, that sort of thing, for this thing. And then about a year later, he offered me a lot of money to buy it back. And I needed the money, so I sold it to him. And then I found out later on it was a fake. So it all worked out for me in the end.
Yeah.
Not for him, but.
Not for him, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good picture of you in front of your table.
Yeah.
That painting is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful painting.
That's pretty nice to have.
Yeah.
A lot of your stuff you have is really nice. I'm jelly. But yeah, so I don't know what else I can ask you. So if you have anything else you want to tell us about.
No. I think we're good.
Oh,
we can certainly do this again some other time.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't mind having you as a co-host sometime too, because you're because of all your knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to go through these pictures and make sure.
When you mentioned the space station before, were you which one were you referring to?
The space stock from the first episode, and then was reused in Dragon's
Right.
Domain.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to build one of those.
Yeah, you just need all those Airfix kits and.
Well, you can buy the kits, and like that one, I think it takes like 5 or 6 of the Saturn V 144 kits. You can cast the parts off of it.
It's about 8 of them. 8 of them. Well, yeah, if you kind of cast it, I mean, it's 8 total. And then the center section was all custom built. And the landing pad, it was made from part of an AMT Enterprise kit.
Oh yeah, the bottom
the bottom is the bridge. Yeah, just the raised area that comes up to the bridge. Yeah,
I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, it's about 4:00. So I just want to thank you.
Thank
for
you.
what you've done to keep Space 1999 rolling, and we as friends and community are rocking and rolling with it right now. So you're one of the pioneers.
It's another way of saying I'm old.
I'm old too, but you know, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff until I was well into my 40s. I mean, 2013, so that was 7 years ago, was when I first made contact with somebody that was a Space 1999 fan besides myself. So I'm the new kid on the block, but I'm old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just appreciate you doing this with us, and I look forward to doing more stuff with you. And if you ever want to pop in, feel free to hit me up and say, hey, I want to pop in and talk.
Sure. All right then.
Obviously, you're going to try to go to the one in Europe.
Yeah, that's a plan. Hopefully, by then we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I'll get over there, and this will be a different experience for me because I'm going to be a fan. And
same with me, because there's really nothing I could bring. So
right, and I mean, you helped out with both conventions also. So I of course I'll probably my buddy Nick will want me to hang out with him for his signings and all that stuff. But other than that, I'm a fan, man. I'm going to enjoy everything. I'm going to sit back and take it all in.
Yeah, it might be the first time I actually get to meet Jamie Anderson in the flesh. I mean, we've only talked.
I met him briefly at Wonderfest.
Yeah, when I found out he was in the States, I said, "Why didn't you stop by?" You know.
Yeah, it didn't dawn on me like it should have.
Yeah.
Because when he was there was when all that 2015 stuff was going on with the New Eagle, so I was kind of overwhelmed anyway. So that's another. 2015 is a big blur for me. Thank God I got pictures. But yeah, I appreciate you hanging out with us.
Pleasure. Always.
And we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Take care of yourselves, guys.
All right. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What do you think, Mark?
Brilliant. I love that. I think was just awesome hearing from David, because David is one of those names, obviously, that we as fans who've been fans for a very long time remember seeing his involvement, particularly with Starlog in those back in those days in the late 70s, when Starlog was probably the only main magazine that was going to feature things like Space 1999 and lots of the things that at the time that we loved as fans. I know there were other little one-off little mini fanzine-y things that would crop up, poster magazines that came out at the time, in the late 70s, very early 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, Starlog eventually went down the route of covering more things that I personally never got into. So I think so for a few years, I used to regularly get Starlog. It was on order at my local newsagent, and I looked forward to getting it however often it was that it came out. But, and as I said, unfortunately, once Space 1999 was cancelled, the amount of material to do with Space 1999 just started to tail off. So it was more Star Trek, classic Star Trek, which of course I love. I'm rewatching all over again at the moment, and I just love to bits. But certainly when it got into all the more really modern stuff, I think in the late 1990s, I think is when and also Starburst, which was the British version of Starlog. Again, I was into that from when that first started, and my interest in the magazine waned because I don't tend to like a lot of the modern stuff.
Right.
So I don't know what you're like with it, but the one in the UK at the moment,
I watch it, but
the magazine, the equivalent at the moment is Infinity.
Mm-hmm.
Which started a couple of years back, and I think its second or third copy was the one that was featuring Space 1999 and had Martin Landau and Barbara Bain on the cover, and that's when I remember seeing it in one of our big news agents here, and it was like, wow, something's covering Space 1999 after all these years. So I've been getting Infinity ever since. Yeah, and apparently I will be featured in the next edition that's coming out next week or the week after. There's a big spread about me meeting Jerry Anderson at the Space City exhibition in 1977, and some of my model work that you guys have all seen. That's been featured in the magazine as well.
That's cool. I'll be like, let me know when that comes out.
Yeah, I think it's the first week in April. I think it's due out. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, David. It was really cool to meet David at that first convention. Again, I'm the new guy on the block in that convention. First time ever being around any of those people, I was starstruck a little bit, and meeting David, him being so down to earth, and Nick being so down to earth. All those stars were all just like you introduce yourself, and 5 minutes later, it's like you've known them forever. They just accept you right in there.
Yes.
And they hung out with us, not just during the day, during the convention. As soon as we closed everything down, we were in the bar, and so were they. You know, we would go down to the bar and eat dinner with them. They hung out with everybody. They were still available for people to ask questions. You know what I mean? So,
one actress I regret not being able to speak to when I actually got to, I say meet her. I saw her. I was staying in a hotel in Manchester. We were at a dog show that we'd taken our old English sheepdog to, the Manchester Dog Show. And I think it was the Midland Hotel in Manchester, Judy Geeson came in with some guy. Now, my mother said that's probably her agent, but my mother just said, doesn't she look so elegant? We were sitting in the lobby, and it was about the time that most of the actors who were working on stuff in the Manchester area, particularly the cast of the soap opera Coronation Street, were coming in from work. And I said, Judy Geeson came in, and I spotted her straight away. Because obviously, I think by that time, 1980 it was, I'd seen Another Time, Another Place by that stage. But of course, I remember her mostly from Star Maidens. Right. She was in all 13 episodes of Star Maidens, which I'd seen in 1976. So to me, it was like, oh, that's Judy Geeson. But I was so close to her. She probably was about something like 20 meters away from me. And I wish I'd had the courage to go up and ask for her autograph or something, but I didn't dare. I just didn't dare. It was like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
We had, for 2017, we had, it was 2019. We had several people that had already said they were going to come to the convention, and then they backed out the last minute, because of personal things. But man, I would have liked to have met those two. What was her name? Susan Roquet and Lisa Harrow. Lisa Harrow and Susan both were pretty much. I had a crush on both of them just watching. I mean, Lisa Harrow was in one episode, Yeah, it was a testament of Arcadia.
Yeah, she was in Star Maidens. She was in all of Star Maidens as well. So 13.
I was looking forward to seeing her.
Yeah.
And then we lost Susan last year, so.
This is the problem, and same with with the UFO convention that was held. They had two of them held here in the UK a couple of years back, and there was the comment made that so many of the original cast and crew and so on are no longer with us, and unfortunately people get older and they leave us.
Well, we were kids when this stuff came out, and now we're at the age that they're leaving us. I mean, Martin, I didn't get to meet Martin. I got some autographs from him, and I did some correspondence with him. But I remember in 2017 that David was going to sponsor him he was going to pay for his fees to come. David Bolter was going to pay for his fees, and we didn't get it done, and then he was gone.
That's such a shame. It's really tragic. Yeah, it would have been interesting to have had he done many fan conventions? Do you know, or would this?
He'd been to a few, yeah.
He had.
Yeah. I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was at 2012, and I want to say the 1999 convention, but he did make it to a few. I've seen his photos and watched some of his interviews.
Yeah, would have been awesome.
But I'm glad that what I did get to do, and who I got to meet. I got to meet Barbara last convention, and Yasko, and I got to hopefully we'll get to visit a few of them again. We'll see what happens.
Do we know what are the plans for the convention next year? Is there anything being talked about it? Do you even know what time of year it's going to be?
It's going to be September.
It's always a difficult month for me. I'm usually always working with my aircraft, and that's why I really wanted to go to the 2 UFO conventions that were held in Derby, and I couldn't because I was working those weekends with my aircraft, so I couldn't get to them. I was absolutely gutted, and I was determined. I told my mates, I said, if there's a third one, UFO convention, I'm sorry guys, but I am not going to be with the aircraft. I am definitely going to a third one, but they didn't organise a third one. So next year, I said, if it happens, I will do my best to get there, but I can't guarantee it if I'm booked to be with my aircraft somewhere.
It's understandable. I'm definitely, God willing, I'm going to be there. So, like I said, I want to be a fan. I want to be there and be a fan and take it all in. Sit around, talk with the other fans. I got to meet a lot of great people in 2019 that came over from the UK, and I love talking to them. And because I've been a 1999 fan as long as everybody else. The problem is I didn't know about all these conventions. I didn't know nothing about them.
Neither did I, and that's the thing. I mean, I was a member of the Space in the UK. There was a Space 1999 fan club from around 1979, 1980. I remember, I was with that, and then on and off I was with Fanderson. But I don't remember noticing much about the conventions, and if they were, I probably couldn't have afforded to have gone anyway at that time. Yeah. So it's only really in recent years I've had the money to be able to do all this sort of stuff, and would be able to travel. So yeah, I mean, it's a shame, but I've missed out on so much. I feel like I've missed out on so much.
Me too.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I can't complain because in the last 8 years, I've gotten to do a lot. I've gotten to meet a lot of people just through the conventions and just through, round 2 and their Eagle kits that came out. And then I'm friends with Steve and those guys in the UK for the 1612. I mean, it just gave me opportunities to do these things. And then when I went to Wonderfest and Nick Tate was there, wow. I mean, we've been buds since. I mean, it's just weird. It's not weird. It's cool. So I've been afforded a lot of opportunities, and I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted because I know it could be gone tomorrow. So
I know that feeling.
My biggest ambition now is to go over to the UK and meet, all you guys over there that I've been dealing with on, Messenger and Facebook and all that stuff. Chris Trice and oh crap! How come I always lose my track of mind when I'm thinking of names?
It always happens when you're talking live in front of other people.
Yeah, Chris Potter, all those guys. Rob Carson and I just cannot wait to meet these people. I got to meet Jim Winch. What a guy! That guy is awesome. So I haven't met anybody so far that I didn't like. We all have that commonality, just like Eric Longstreet just said a few minutes ago. We all share the same roots as far as Space 1999. We all like it for different reasons and some more the same reasons. So, I can't wait to get over there, and I'm going to be busy. There won't be much sleeping for me when I'm over there. I was in Europe when I was 18, and I loved it. So it's such a pretty place. I was with my English class and teachers. So I was on a bus going from here, going place to place to place. And some of the stuff I got to see was mind-boggling. The changing of the guard, all that stuff. So it's pretty neat. And I'm looking forward to going back and hanging out with people that I've been talking with on Facebook. I just can't believe how technology has gotten us to where we're at today.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as we've said in previous of these discussions, the change in technology, how social media in particular has opened up fandom of series like Space 1999 for everybody. Right. As we keep saying, in the days before the internet, how on earth did we manage, to get information, to get photos of the series that we would love to have, how difficult it was back in those days. And social media now as a tool for this is just great. Like to talk to David as we've just done, and the other guys we've had in the previous weeks on here, which is this for me. I just love this, Todd. It was a great idea of yours to do this, and now getting to speak to more fans as we do is just awesome. But we couldn't do this years ago. It would never have been possible years ago. before social media making it as easy as it is now.
Yeah, and people are ruining it because they're, you know, all the bull hockey that they're showing on regular Facebook pages. I won't even. I stay away from my main page for my personal page. I learned my lesson. I just use it for my family and everything anymore. And then these groups, I stay away from it everywhere else. I don't like to see all the negativity out there. Let me see if I can. Somebody just asked a question, so I'm gonna try and answer it. I should know this, but hey, Nick McCarty, I'll put the information for next year's convention in the comment section after the show's over, because my brain's just wacky right now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've already started saving up. I'm probably going to end up downsizing my home too between now and then, so I don't need all this room. I've got a 4-bedroom, 3-story house that, you know, I bought with my wife in 2013, and, you know, grass is greener on the other side, so she's somewhere else now. No point in keeping all this payments and all this big house anymore, so I'm going to downsize into something smaller.
But you will still have room for your collection, I take it.
Well, yeah. That's like my kid now. It goes where I go, and you know. So as long as I can keep this kind of stuff up, I'm gonna keep doing it. I mean, we're getting watchers, and subscribing to the YouTube channel will help. So I'll keep doing it. I tried to do several times Todd's Corner in like a written or a typed out newsletter. It didn't work. I just couldn't. It takes too much time to do that. So I'm live. You can ask questions. It's pretty cool how we can do this now. And you're all the way in the UK. I know, you know, people in Australia, UK, all that stuff, you know, China, Japan. It's pretty cool. Destination Moonbase Alpha. That's right. Hey, Nick McCarty. Destination Moonbase Alpha.com. It's pretty cool. Destination Moonbase Alpha. That's right. Where'd that come from? Did you hear it double? I said
sorry,
it.
That was me. Sorry, I just pulled it up on YouTube. I don't know. Can you see what the comments are on YouTube?
Yeah, I was watching them. Let me see if I can get to it. That's what Gordon mostly does, is kind of try and watch the comments. I don't know if I'm getting, yeah, because Jeff Rubel just said, Todd, we'd all rather see you live live. I'd rather see me live too, but I think you said live. So apparently in my feed over here, it shows me Facebook and YouTube. So that's pretty cool. Problem is, if you don't register with Facebook on the StreamYard app, it won't show me your name. So I got somebody saying, if Todd won't have the room, I will, for my collection. It just says Facebook user. So I can see Nick McCarty and Jeff Rubel, Warren, Eric. There's a lot of Facebook users in here, so that Facebook user is awful blabby today.
On YouTube, Tenement01 says that for them it was the 1999 novels, and they recorded a couple of episodes onto audio cassette tape as their way of keeping the show alive. I think we've discussed that in previous weeks. I think so many of us did that. We recorded the show onto audio cassette tape before videotape. So yeah, and I think, as I said previously, I always thought at the time I was the only person that ever thought of doing it. And now years later, we discover everybody was doing it.
Okay. There we go. I see them all now. Yeah. That Testament, I believe that's Peter O'Rourke. Yeah. So
yeah. Somebody says that Starlog cover it credits Dick Cofield.
Right.
With that cover art. So if that's the case, it was not Arnaldo Puzo, as I suggested it was. So it's a Dick Cofield, Koh, and then the word field altogether. So that's interesting. I'll find more of his artwork.
Yeah. Peter also said he wonders what it would be like to try and bring the nuclear canisters from the Freighter Eagle through customs. If they got those labels on, they'd probably freak out.
But do you know what? This must have been probably in the early 1980s. I remember it was in the British press at the time, but somebody found in a wardrobe the small canisters with nuclear waste on them, and they actually believed that they were something that had proper to do with nuclear waste. And they had to call in the authorities to deal with it as an issue, and then realised that they were off a toy Eagle from Space 1999. So for us fans, we were just thinking, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, people.
Yeah, I remember that in the press.
Speaking of YouTube, hey guys, if you're on YouTube or you watch this YouTube later, click like and share the heck out of it, and definitely subscribe and like my YouTube page. So the more likes and subscriptions I get, the closer I get to being to use some of YouTube's other products that I can use to help boost Todd's Corner. So please click your like, and just like they always tell you, that's what I need to come up with a saying, just like all the other places do. Click on the like and subscribe and hit your notifications so you get all the alerts that I'm live. How's that? So that helps me.
I can't see any more questions on the YouTube one.
Jeff Rubel said, that was when he said we'd rather see you live, and I said live. He said, well, alive too, of course. Let's see what's on Facebook over here. Jan, yes, you are showing up. Thank you. Yep. Yeah, if you do, I'll include another instructions on how to. All you have to do is allow Facebook to show your name. That's all it is. It's just that easy. But you have to do that, enable for me to see on my feed over here the questions and who you are. I can see the questions. Like somebody said, the slogan. Who is that? Who is that slogan? Type your name in there. So, yeah.
One of the things David picked up on and that he mentioned about the year 1, year 2 Eagle set, the fact that it was in year 2 the interconnecting section they left out. I know that really was down to the amount of studio space that they had, because I didn't know until a couple of years ago when I read it that in year 1, the main mission set, that vast set with the commander's office, wasn't permanently standing through the whole of 74, and into early 1975 when they were filming the series. It was constantly being taken down and taken to bits. and obviously they reused parts of it to make other sets, such as in the one with Force of Life, the nuclear generating area, and
Force of Life,
Force of Life, and other sequences, other episodes where parts of the set were reconfigured differently. So it was constantly being taken down and re-erected. And one of the things that Fred Freiberger said when he took over producing the second series and trying to make sure that it came in on budget was that taking that set apart and continually rebuilding it and resetting the lighting, it took time. And there were occasions when the cast and crew had to stand around, not able to film anything, whilst they got all the lighting set up and everything. And so that's why when year 2 went into production, they had to cut costs. So the standing set that was built with Command Center obviously being much smaller was because they could only fit a certain amount of sets into that studio. So that's why Command Center came into being, was because they didn't have the space for the main mission set to stand as a permanent set. They needed the corridor set, they needed the Eagle set, they needed obviously it was a smaller medical section set that was standing permanently, so they could just go in and film in it whenever they needed to. Mm-hmm. There was the minimum amount of time to set up the lighting for it. And as far as the Eagle was concerned, it came down to the fact that there just wasn't enough space to get the interconnecting corridor in. Now, again, it came down to Fred Freiberger's, well, people won't notice. People won't notice. Because we as fans do, and obviously we still moan about and complain about it today. But at the time, and I see this on the Facebook groups all the time, people say, well, the budget was cut. The budget was cut. Well, the biggest problem, as I always point out, was that at the beginning of 1976, the inflation rate in the UK was 27%. Now, today, our politicians go bananas if inflation goes above 2.5%. So just think what it was like back then in the mid-70s with inflation at 27%. And wage costs, material costs were just going through the roof. And so that's why they had to clamp down on everything. And certainly studio space was expensive. So they had one stage that had the permanent set in it. So the set with command center, a corridor, the small technical section, the crew's quarters and medical section, and the Eagle were there permanently. So once it was built, it stayed there through the entire year to make all the episodes, whereas the stage next door was the one that had the various alien planets, interiors of alien other things, whatever. And that's how they did it. And that also was how they were able to do the double up episodes, was that they could be filming one episode on the stage, on the set with all the Moonbase interiors, whilst filming another episode next door.
Yeah. There he is.
I go away for a moment. You guys are still talking.
Yeah, I was yapping. Sorry. I got to get going here shortly anyway, but yeah.
Well, you were talking about the year 2 sets, yeah.
Yes. Question comes up frequently on Facebook.
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
Up so fast. I mean, you got to remember the second.
You guys keep talking. I'll be right.
Yeah, the first season was shot over, from 73 to 75. I mean, they were turning episodes around every 2 weeks, which is normal for British shooting, but they had to get the show on the air in 6 months or so. So it just, everything had to be set up so you could go bang, 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 bang like a.
What, you mean with year 2?
Yeah.
Yes, because certainly yes, because year 2 started being shown certainly on UK television screens in September 1976. Obviously, whilst it was still in production.
Yeah.
Which was totally different from year 1, which we say was filmed from November 73 till March 1975. And it didn't start being screened, certainly in the UK, until September 1975.
Right.
So there was a bit of a time. I think, was it shown in Australia first, a few weeks earlier?
I know there were some August premieres.
Yeah.
But you know, that was with any of Jerry's shows, were all shot in the dark like that. They finished the show and wrapped, and we're moving on to the next show long before the show's actually premiered. So Time was unusual in that it was the first show we had to shoot for a same day, same year broadcast.
Yeah, ITV tended to be like that. Very often, its series were filmed, and completion on all the episodes would have completed. And in some cases, several series did have to wait a year or even 2 years till they were found a slot to be screened.
Right.
That was pretty common.
Yeah, and some shows were broadcast here as summer replacements. It wasn't a network series. So I think like shows like The Prisoner, they ran half the show one summer, and then it was a year later before we had the rest of it. So it was a very unusual situation. So anything with year two had to be geared towards getting that episode in the can on a schedule. They couldn't go back months later and shoot additional footage the way they did year one.
Yes.
I mean, I found out that Nick's shots when he was in the Eagle as the moon was being blown out of orbit was actually shot months later.
Yeah, that's right. They revisited the script several times.
Yes.
For Breakaway and
Breakaway and a few other episodes.
They did. Yeah, and the one I just commented on one of the Facebook groups before we came on air was somebody had asked the question about The Last Enemy again.
Yes,
and they said
it ran short.
That's right, and just remembering that it was the principal filming was in October, November of 1974, and when they realised in editing that it was running short, they needed some additional footage. They needed to look at the script again, and that's when they came up with the idea of Koenig doing the ruse of trying to trick Dione with the moon buggy with the explosives on it. That wasn't in the original version as shot. And they had to wait, didn't they, until after they finished filming Testament of Arcadia. They had to remount filming of certain key scenes, and the male actor who'd been on board the Cetasius wasn't available to come back, so they had to refilm all the scenes on board the Cetasius with Dione's crew, and that's when they did the reshoot that they decided to make them an all-female crew. So it was those scenes on board the Cetasius that were the last ever actual film scenes of year one. For that, even though the episode had started in production order as episode 18.
No, there was a lot of pickups down the line, but you could, especially in Breakaway, you could see the pickups because the collars of the spacesuits change. They originally shot it with a very fabric-y looking collar, and then the ribbed collars come in. Even when Koenig crashes over Area 1, they keep going back and forth. The collar changes. So those are the pickup shots with the ribbed collar.
I'd never noticed that. I'm going to watch that episode again now, much more carefully.
Yeah. That's the most obvious pickup shot. But one of the things that we discovered was that the astronaut who tries to break the disposal area window with his helmet, that was actually the part that Nick Tate was hired to play. And that's when people say his character was supposed to die in the first episode, that was the character. Everyone assumed that he went up into orbit and the moon went out of orbit and he was lost in space, but that wasn't the case. So, you find out all these little interesting things that were shot so much further down the line. Like Barry Morse's opening title card. It's in the original script that he's supposed to be pictured against all this equipment, but they didn't do it, and they shot that months later. So this is why year one the Moonbase looks so big, because if they break apart Medical Center and then need it 3 episodes later, they build a completely new set based on what the needs of the episode is. So you're either looking at intensive care or diagnostic, or some isolation ward in another episode, where year two, it was the same set every week.
Do you remember in the episode War Games, medical section? Then it's got the big window that excludes,
big windows.
You've never seen a window medical section.
No. And in Missing Link, they actually, did a medical center set that was built in Koenig's office, because you could tell by the staircase, and there's a corridor with outside windows, which is the wall along main mission. That they just put a wall up so they could walk into that medical center set.
Did that appear again in the Garden of Piri when Koenig is walking on his own down? And you can see the 4 windows off to the right of the screen.
Could be the same set, yeah.
Yeah.
When they were shot or what they left up between episodes, because when they built the reactor chamber for Force of Life, the set, they had to shoot the same scenes for Alpha Child during that episode because that set was standing.
Yes.
So there's a lot of that in the Martin Landau papers that show how the show was shot and how they had stuff planned ahead. So they said, okay, we're going to have to shoot this. When you were talking about the Eagle, we were talking about the Eagle set in year 2. In year 1, the Eagle set frequently wasn't even on the soundstage. It was in what they called the North Tunnel at Pinewood.
Right.
So this was a covered area outside. So they utilized so much of the studio because they could. They had the time to do that in the first series. Second series, it was no time, and it was that's why Keith Wilson's sets were very obviously redressed from episode to episode. Psyche becomes the Grove in One Woman Humanity with very little redressing because it's done so quickly. But you don't recognize the ice cave in Death of the Dominion as the cave in the Caveman episode because it's so well redesigned and repainted because of the time they have between the shooting. That's even Brian's special effects are so much better in the first season because they had the time to do that. The second season, every effect shot had to be something they could utilize down the road. So if they had to do an episode specific shot, that was a shot that was going to be used once, and that wasn't very cost effective. You see that in Exiles, where the Eagles all pull up along the cryogenic ships, and the robot arm is not visible until later on because all these shots of the Eagles pivoting around the moon had to be able to be reused in later episodes. So they just assume this thing gets deployed somehow.
I have to say, in the Exiles, one of the shots when the credits are coming up, you see the 2 eagles turning together,
and there's no remote arm on either one of them.
No, but
because it's a shot we could use again in another episode.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But to me, that I love that particular shot.
Oh, there's some great.
Yes.
That's one of the things that there was a talk with Steve Begg about Terrahawks. Steve used a lot of the same techniques on Terrahawks, but the one thing he managed to do that Brian never did was he got the camera to move to give some kind of like forced perspective. So when the Eagles turned, he would have panned across the moon as well in that shot. The amazing thing was he was doing it with a 16 millimeter film as opposed to 35, which has got to be a lot harder. But it just shows you how that type of visual effect not only holds up really well with today's high definition TV shows, but it just there's so much that you can do with it that just looks great, that you can't do with an optical effect shot. Sometimes it won't hold the detail. Yes,
indeed.
We see that with his fleet shots too in Immunity Syndrome with all the Eagles. Not Immunity Syndrome. Seance Spectre, where they have the whole fleet of eagles.
That's right. Yes.
Moon. And a lot of the shots are of the same eagle, just move slightly, but they use as many of the models as they can, so they don't have to keep running the film through the gate, because the more they run it through, the bigger chance something's going to happen, and they have to start from scratch.
I think for many fans, though, the one effect sequence that fans adore in year 2 was in the Space Warp episode, where Maya is, as the creature, gets into an eagle inside the hangar and tries to take off and ends up creating mayhem in the hangar.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow, that was going to... that burned up a lot of the eagle paint jobs.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
There was a big insurance claim on that episode because of the cost factor and having to repaint and repair the eagles after all that. Oh.
Yeah, it still looks awesome today when you see it. The detail in there. And of course, the other thing that's interesting is that so many fans don't notice this, but if you look very carefully at some of the shots, you can actually see one of the laser eagles from the Infernal Machine in the background.
Oh, the tanks, yeah.
The tanks, sorry. The laser tank.
I always found that weird. That was some question I wanted to ask Brian and never even got the chance to, is why certain things got used only once. Why they wouldn't show up later on. And then other things like the battleship got used to death constantly. But we'd have these one episode things where, you would think they would take the Voyager apart and use it like as an engine or something, because it looked like it could have been an engine if you took the solar panels off. The tanks never showed up again, and they could have been used in dozens of shots and backgrounds. Especially when we had the laser cannons coming out of their little underground hatches. They could have had a tank sitting somewhere next to a building, but
exactly,
it was an issue of scale between the tanks and the Alpha buildings. Because there was, the large Alpha buildings were built in a particular scale.
I did do a couple of weeks, didn't I, Todd? A few weeks ago on the Facebook, the Facebook groups, when the 1612 laser tanks came out. I did do a quick photo shoot with my Alpha base model, with the tanks next to it. So I actually did do that a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah.
I gotta run, guys. I gotta go pick up my groceries.
Okay.
Well, some of us have to eat, I suppose. So.
No,
I wasn't even thinking.
I don't miss too many meals.
I was still talking, and I just went back on to send you the photos, and I see the videos still there. So I said, just pop in.
No, I would talk for 10 hours on this stuff, but I have a certain time I have to be there.
Yeah, well, we got other days to do it.
Yeah, and some of the stuff I just talked about just now.
Roy wants to do another one with me, which we had promised to do after we did the first one. Things take. And somebody
maybe we'll get you and Roy both on here.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this is one of my new toys.
Hey, there you go.
I don't know if you can see the beam or not.
The funny bit was I saw one of the originals at Greg Jeans. I said, it looks so wimpy.
Yeah.
That's one of the classic designs. It really is.
Food's for losers. I'm a loser.
I guess we all are.
Yeah. Here, we'll see if we can answer this one. David, are we going to get some of these set explanations in your new book?
We're going to know a lot about how the show was shot, because that has a lot to do with all the trials and tribulations that Chris and Johnny Byrne and all the other writers went through trying to get stuff done. I mean, there was stuff that was written right up to the last moment. They were juggling so much. The biggest problem is getting Chris to remember a lot of this, because we had a whole thing about Black Sun, because I've got David Weir's original script, and Chris thought that he remembered in his mind that he completely rewrote the script, And I said,
Right.
no, when you read David Weir's script, it's very close to the final episode. The only major difference is his script is unfilmable as far as his visual explanations. It's now you could do it in CG, but that was the biggest problem, was that Jerry Anderson went to him and said, you've got to fix this so that we could shoot this. Find a better way. There was a whole page in the back of the script where he's trying to explain how he wants the visuals done, and it's not possible. No, or at least then it was not possible. So you run into a lot of that where you let the writers, let their imaginations run rampant, and then practicality comes in. Either Ryan can't design it without a lot of experimentation, which in the first season they had time to do, but and then Keith Wilson has to build things, and what can you do sometimes? So that's the biggest thing. I mean, Jerry once told me that Freddie Freiberger wanted to have a moon buggy battle in Bringers of Wonder, and he had to remind Freddie they only have one practical moon buggy.
Right.
And every moon buggy is a different scale of model. Were we supposed to do a fleet of models and do this in miniature, which would look ridiculous?
It would, wouldn't it?
And they're not going to go out and buy 20 Amphicats and redress them to run around the sets. The set wasn't big enough for that. So, these are problems that TV shows deal with all the time.
Yep. Well, good.
Yeah.
I'll be wanting one of those books with autographs.
Yeah, of course.
Look, I got an autograph from the David Hirsch and the Robert Wood.
And what a lousy handwriting.
Yeah. If they saw my signature, it'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah. I've had people do that going, that's the best you can do.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right. Take care.
I have fun every time we do.
Good talking to you, and we'll do it again.
Yep.
Yeah. Been great.
Have a good one.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah. See ya. See everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I love you guys. You're awesome. Remember, subscribe, hit like, and what else? Oh, hit your notifications so you can see every time I go live. Have a beautiful Sunday. We'll talk to you all later. Bye now.